The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and we'll recycle them too.
See, that was perfect, man. I like that little ad-lib at the end.
That's what we do.
Ryan, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Manuel.
I know you're a little nervous, but that nervousness will disappear in a few seconds.
All right.
Completely disappear. Welcome to our little studio here.
Thank you.
We're gonna have a show that I've been itching to have for a very, 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 very long. How long have I known you?
15?
Since the beginning of my construction career, to be very honest.
Hardcore.
I think it was the very first year that I met you. You were at a different company. We won't mention their name.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. But now you're dealing with Pliteq.
Yes, sir.
You're dealing with sound and mats and rubber and recycling and all kinds of interesting, fun stuff. Stuff that I find fascinating.
It's a combination of noise and vibration and sustainability.
We got a lot of little, We're gonna be talking some specifics. You're gonna talk some mumbo jumbo, but it's actually gonna be science. It's gonna be proven. And everyone that knows me knows that I don't like good marketers that sell you crap. So that's why you're here, because I want the truth.
Yeah.
I want the truth shared on this show because I personally have built 2 sound theaters, mixing booth theaters, large ones, massive ones for production, for legitimate 7.1 systems. And I got lessons about sound and transmission and all kinds of stuff and absorbing materials and all that crap. And that was early on in my career. I did that stuff, right? So now the world has changed, right? And now homeowners are getting savvy to this. But the problem is that they Google before they realize what really is the truth. So this show, we're going to talk about sound, transmission, recyclable, Canadian company.
Yeah.
Canadian product.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. And you're in charge of the whole country now. Just the East, right?
Just this part. Come on now.
Ryan Ralph is here
Yes.
from Pliteq. Pliteq. It's spelled Pliteq.
Pliable technology is where that comes from.
That's where it comes from?
Yeah.
Oh, pliable technology. Oh, I like that. It's
Spelled
kinda cool.
interestingly, but it's one of those, once you hear Pliteq, you're like, what is that for? That's why. It's pliable, it's rubber, it's resilient.
So to get a hold of Ryan and send you all of his all your hate mail to him, it's r2@pliteq.com. And then on Instagram, and you'll find him, I think, mostly on Instagram, but Pliteq, @Pliteq.
Okay.
That's it. So
Thank you for that.
Hang on. HHC t-shirt, Huntington Home Concepts. That's what I'm wearing today. A lot of these guys put their logos on the back and then nobody really sees them.
What do they do?
They're a contractor company, general GC company.
GC.
Yeah. So I have all these shirts underneath the table that I throw on a new shirt and I do a show and I get a little shout out. That's it. That's how we do it.
I should wear my Pliteq hat. It's okay.
Why didn't you wear your Pliteq hat? Well, you got your Pliteq.
To your point, we're not a marketing company. We're not team of engineers, engineering, manufacturing.
Science.
It's not about the
Facts.
smoke. It's about and the mirrors. It's about the meat and potatoes.
Okay, so Ryan, where do you want to begin?
Pardon me?
Where do you want to begin? You can't hear me?
That's pretty good. Who are you again? Begin from the beginning. What do you think? Like what Pliteq is, where we came from, how we were born?
Yeah, so first of all, it all bred from tires, right? I know there's a little bit of a history on how it all works.
Yes.
And you told me, and I don't remember the numbers, but how many tires are recycled, and we're still not making a dent.
On average, it's 1 tire per person per year go to landfill.
1 tire per person per year.
So Canada's at 40 million people rather now. That's 40 million tires a year that end up in landfills every year.
Every year.
Correct.
So
And
the
we're up
US
to around,
is
carry the one.
Wow.
A lot.
Okay.
So we're gonna be like, I think, oh geez, don't quote me on this. 7-8 million tires a year going through our factory here in Vaughan. It's a lot of tires, but it's a dent, biggest in Canada by far for the user of recycled tires or recycling tires. But still, so we're proud of the number, but we all have a long way to go as people. Forget just Pliteq for a second, right? But there's a lot of these things going to landfill that we got to find more ways and more reasons and more products to help one build better, which is your goal, educating that piece and saving the planet, because tires in landfill and there's graveyards overseas too, right? Where they just dump these things and no one uses them. There are ways, are things people can do to help.
So how did the idea come from for Pliteq that he looked at tires and said because you're talking, it's a young company.
Youngish, 2000, you're going to quote me on this, 2004, 2005, 2006-ish.
A young company, man.
Ish, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Paul Downey, our awesome president,
Yep.
was a student at Western, chemical engineering.
Okay.
And he was doing his thesis, and what can I do? And this is in the late 90s.
Yep.
I'm from Montreal. I didn't see it. You were around. There was a fire in Hagersville. Ontario.
You mentioned,
Yeah,
I
and
remember
he
that.
drove by every day on the way to school and was like, "Woody's tires are burning." I think it burned for weeks, smoldered for months, and he drove through the smoke, going, "This is bad news bears." All the smoke in the environment, atmosphere, and so he decided to do his thesis on acoustics with tires. How do we get tires out of landfill? Let's come up with a product to help divert these tires from where they are right now. And thus was born kind of Pliteq, and the idea with Genie Clip was his first patent, I believe. He went to market with.
Yeah, which we'll see a detail
Yeah, a little bit
of
on
it.
that.
We'll
There
talk
are
about it.
videos I could share links if you have links
they're
already.
on YouTube, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bunch of different videos
I'm
of
a fan
intro.
of the clips. The clips make a lot of sense.
But so he's seeing tires burn and smoke suck, and what it comes down to. So he goes, how do I make this planet a better place? And if you ask him right now, if you win the lottery, what are you going to do? He won't say retire. He'll say build another factory.
Just keep on expanding.
Keep on growing and getting things.
Has it been growing year over year? It has to be, right?
It has to be.
Right.
As you mentioned, homeowners are becoming a little more savvy. Condos being built. We're here in Toronto. I'm not sure, this is a world broadcast, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We have offices across the globe we could talk about.
Yeah,
but,
you do.
Yeah, in Singapore, Dubai, Cairo, Mexico City, Vancouver now.
Quebec.
But everything is made here. Everything is made right here, right? La
No,
Ville
no,
de
it's
Quebec.
right, exactly.
But I think, what was the
And
question?
I've been to the facility. You gave me the tour, which is great. You wouldn't let me take a single picture.
No pictures.
No videos, no nothing.
No nothing.
At all.
Come on in, we'll show you. But yeah, it's a proprietary stuff. It's
I
some good stuff.
know. There's a lot of proprietary stuff, but it was really amazing stuff. That's
Thank
what
you.
I liked about it. So it was very interesting, and it was clean. Like you figure for the product that you're recycling and the material that you're getting in there, and all the movement and all the, it was clean, like a really really clean place.
It's big. It's a 150,000 square foot facility.
Yeah.
And yes, you couldn't look off the floor, but you're not walking in hazmat suits and respirators. It's a very clean.
It didn't smell like rubber in there.
Yeah.
No,
It's tires and some binder, right? So as we build these gyms and whatnot, and commercial gyms, home gyms, and other products in general, which I'm sure we'll go over today, you can't, right? Once you pass, floor score in Ontario or California Clean Air Act, you got to make sure people aren't worried about breathing in toxins and VOCs.
Yeah. So okay, where do we go from here?
So the history of Pliteq, that's pretty much it, right? We come from humble beginnings in Ontario, expanded globally, and our goal is to just keep helping the planet while building better. That's what we're going to say. Building better. You mentioned that, the quality.
Yeah.
These folks in Toronto, and globally, cost of housing, it's all over the news.
Of course.
We'll leave it as that. Doesn't matter what news outlet you're going to.
So technically speaking, this is a luxury product in the minds of economic, what's going on right now, world.
It's interesting. I would say it's luxury. It's become
I'm not
baseline.
agreeing with it. I'm not agreeing
Yeah,
with
it
it.
becomes baseline, but people think you got to pay more to get more.
Yeah.
You really don't. To meet code is pretty easy.
Yeah.
Which is nice, but some folks have this misconception again of wanting the fake numbers, which I'm sure you'll get to because you love debunking things as is.
Yeah.
But when you're spending $2,000 a square foot, you don't want to hear your neighbors.
But we're
And
hearing our neighbors.
We're hearing the neighbors. Code minimum is one thing. Recommendations versus requirements, different verbiage, I guess, depending on where you go in the world. But our goal is to make these sanctuaries that people are spending a lot of money to live in as quiet as possible for their headspace, for their mental health, and just somewhere they can get away from the world for a little bit, right? So we can jump
How
in.
is Canada embracing this? What was this? I mean,
No, it's a
is
great
that a loaded
it's-
question.
It's
or
a little
what?
bit because globally, so U.S. has a very strict code compliance for IIC, and we'll talk about IIC, SEC coming up, I'm sure.
Let's get into these numbers.
Yeah, so one is STC, which is sound. Hello, our voice is conversation, music,
sounds.
airborne.
Okay, so we have neighbors. Let's say to this all around us. We're
Sound
living in-
transmission class, exactly.
Exactly.
So that's what we're talking here. IIC is more that the
hard
impact,
sounds,
structure born.
Heels, foot,
Great
furniture,
example.
whatever. Right.
Yes.
So what are the standards regarding the OBC?
So code right now is STC 50, which is your wall partition, ceiling, just airborne stuff.
Yep.
It's recommended 50. And then recommended 55. Luxury is 60. Typically, generally accepted is 60 SEC IIC. Four Seasons is an example, right? All those fancier chains. I'm not sure if we can name drop or not. But any kind of luxury place is a 60 would be considered luxury or above. Code is 50. There's no code in Canada for IIC, which is the impact. It's recommended.
So you do not need to put a membrane or a mat or anything at
We
all.
got tile right to concrete. So when those chairs get moved or those marbles get dropped or those people start
Transmission.
walking, the impact of people walking is flanks laterally, flanks vertically, and you're going to likely hear it. US, as an example, very code compliant. There is that code requirement of IIC 50. So I know I've been lobbying for years here. I think we're getting closer, but it's just a different way to build, right? So will it cost developers a little more money? Yeah. Going from nothing to something will cost, but the benefits are way outweigh. There are a couple of developers that are using some better products.
Yeah.
So they are differentiating themselves, because right now you have a lot of these high-rise guys build good. They build well. They build the code. That's what they're required to do. But there are a couple that are seeing a little value going, if I build better, when can I charge more to offset the cost? And or will I absorb that cost just to provide a better product for my condo owners, whether they own it or they're rentals, right?
So why can't we get code to jump on board?
I think it's a matter of time.
Okay.
How's that for just a...
Well, yeah, it's a political answer.
I don't know enough to speak intelligently about the governing bodies behind it. But there are a lot of
people moving into these units, and then all of a sudden they're scraping that chair, or they're walking on the hardwood floors, and and so everyone that's living below enjoys that sound.
Yeah,
I guess the only perks are if you live on the penthouse.
Even that though, penthouse. Don't forget, above you is the mechanical rooms, oftentimes.
But then there's code requirements there.
That's fair.
Which you guys also play in that wheelhouse.
A box within a box, or isolating the mechanical, the chillers and air handling units and whatnot.
So those are quieter and they're meeting the standards, but everybody from the penthouse downwards.
You might hear someone walking on you, is the short answer.
Yeah. And just to get rid of that is basically just separating with a material like what you guys make between the finished material and to the structural material.
Doesn't take much. It's a great slide if we see it. Are we going to see some slides later?
Yeah, you're the ones controlling.
I'm driving this. Okay, yeah, you're going to see an awesome.
You spent like 2 hours to connect this thing, and now you're driving. You're asking me if you're driving this.
So there's a great example. And again, so everything you see today, by the way, it's not science, it's not magic, it's engineering. Is a tagline.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not on there, which is ironic, but it's not magic. It's engineering.
It's engineering.
This is the thing. It's magic. I think what's his face. Steve Jobs.
Okay.
Oh, it's all this magic happening behind the scenes. It's not magic. It's a bunch of smart people building a bunch of smart things.
No. You guys are thinking this stuff through.
It's a real thing. There's no made up numbers here. You live and die by code, by data. Okay. So that's why acousticians, or the acoustical consultants in this space.
Acousticians?
They get paid a lot of money. Terrion's big on this, right? So if you're building high rise or anything multifamily in Ontario,
you need to hire an acoustician.
Acoustical consultant. And I stutter on that one, so it's hard for me to say.
Acoustical consultant.
Correct. So they'll do environmental impact, environmental assessments, and then assessments within the building. Again, for these type of noise and vibration, amongst a ton of other things they're doing.
Do they wear like black socks and sandals?
No, they're pretty good people.
Are they?
They're all rock and roll players. They're all proper musicians.
So they get sound.
They get it.
Okay.
They get it. We're gonna have a battle of the bands. You should come.
Sure.
We'll do that. But they live and die by data. So you can't just make up numbers, because if you get caught, not that you're blackballed, but there's a lot of misinformation that you and I have talked about.
I can't give you a wad of money to maybe suggest something.
Goes against all
that
the
never
integrity.
Happens in construction. Huh?
Never. No brown envelopes. They might be like manila-y or
and
like
if there are
white
envelopes, they're never opened. That's the difference, right? So all kinds of stuff like that. But
it happens.
It doesn't happen in construction. So I agree with you that you have professionals coming in, handling professional situations for building structures better.
We will lose, and I'm okay saying this on air, whoever this is watching, your wicked fan base. We will lose and walk away from projects.
Yeah.
When we're asked to provide a number, and that number being an SDIC number, that's not real. In the realm of physics, you cannot achieve that with the type of material or the way we build here. So we'll walk away from associations, condo associations, looking for a number that somehow, some way they were spoon-fed a number.
Yeah.
And so we'll take the data that we're shared, go to an acoustician and say, hey, can this happen? And the best conversation is when one of the kind of 5 or 6, 7 main guys we deal with here in Ontario will say, no, where do these numbers come from? It's impossible. Then we go back to the board and say, you've been spoon-fed something that's not right. So, well, I get what you're saying, Ryan, but I just need a number. And there are some companies who will just put a number on a piece of paper and say, what number you need? With their 1 millimeter foam from overseas, whatever that is, and say, what number do you want? And they'll make up numbers, Manny, and we'll lose that sale, and that's okay. Because you can't go to bed at night, sleep well, knowing that what you're giving isn't true.
Okay. What's the first slide? And when do we get to the black box?
About 5, 6 slides we can get there.
Okay, so that's fine.
It's good. So we want to cover. It's all good. We'll kind of skip here. We talked about this already.
We talked about the tires and the burning. It was totally cool. That's the founding owner.
Yeah, Paul Downey, stud.
Yeah, Paul Downey.
Young guy, smart guy. His family's in the business as well. A couple of brothers work for the company. It's his vision. And before our factory 7 years ago, he made his stuff. He made his patents in the U.S. With tire people, and then he took his ball and came home, which is exciting.
So 8 million passenger tires are recycled per year as of 2023.
Bren, yeah.
But you still have another 30 million going into the landfill because of Canada.
Correct.
One
what we
tire
use
per person.
per year. It's a
Per year.
staggering number. Staggering. Yeah. Yep. This is a fun one. This is from 2016, right? When before it actually was a thing.
Yeah.
Noise and vibration.
Yeah.
It's only gotten worse. Neighbor versus neighbor, right? And it's kind of funny. People laugh at this slide. There's a video, if you share a link, right? The neighbors upstairs one.
Yeah, we'll share that link and we'll talk about it.
It's a fun one, but again, this is the reality is there's no code requiring people to care about their neighbor upstairs. So for condo renovations, Manny, it's interesting. So a couple on Lakeshore we deal with a lot. And the condo, they want to change their floor from their parquet from 1990 to update it. If they touch that floor, they have to meet these new requirements for the building.
Oh,
for the building.
So it's not grandfathered in.
No. So the challenge is you're asking these homeowners, these condo owners, it might cost you a fig number, $1,000 in underlayment. You have to. And they're like, wait a minute, I got to pay to make that person below me feel good. Meanwhile, Buddy McGee upstairs is dragging floors and walking, right? So it's an interesting conversation going, why am I forced to for them? And meanwhile, I'm getting kept awake all night, people dragging chairs and walking. That's where new construction is where to go, right? The renovations will keep happening. We'll get there eventually. But as it is right now, a lot of our focus has to be new construction. Build better now so people who are spending this crazy money live better.
So, I mean, why isn't it shared with the condo, the older ones, where you split the costs, I guess, because you're paying so much money in the maintenance fees? Why don't you? So if you decide, wouldn't that encourage people to renovate then?
I don't disagree. Using the house's money to take care of the house versus you own what's in these walls in a condo typically,
I guarantee
it's all on you.
Once one homeowner, condo owner gets wind that they have to do it, once they touch it, they're going to say, well, we're not going to renovate.
Yeah, why bother? I'll get some
the
nice
word will
area
get out.
rugs or
The
something.
word will get out, and they're like, well, we're not going to renovate. Then we're not going to renovate. Why not go the flip side and get them to renovate? Then the building's better.
Yeah, crazy.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Having other people pay for each other.
I know, I get it. So yeah,
Gross.
we know that there's lots of and I love this slide. So
This is my fave slide.
The biggest problem ever, right?
Yeah, right from rooftop to below grade. So this is a cool thing, right? So you get, new constructions come a long way. 141 Bay as a good example of building a tower high rise on
The
essentially
one and only streetcar track that we have.
Yeah,
in Toronto.
on Union Station, essentially, right? It's that close. So right from those chillers and makeup air units on the rooftop to subways ripping down. We have an office. Our factory's in Vaughan.
Yep.
427, 407. But we have an office, Young and Don Mills.
Okay.
And every 7 minutes, the building shakes because we have subway below us. So you can be as quiet as you want in the space, but if your trains are rattling your buildings, so it's interesting how you can go, all of a sudden this opportunity, this segment opened up going, we're building not close to train tracks, we're building on train tracks. How do we stop that vibration from the subways? So that's kind of the GBV, ground-borne vibration isolation, right? So it's a great picture because it kind of shows every scenario possible,
I love
right?
it because even from the streetcar, and I'm wondering, here in Toronto, we have the annoying streetcars, which makes no sense to me, right? I guess in Europe, if you're listening to trams or whatever, but the trams seem to be better.
Amtrak, even in the U.S.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff like that. But they rip up the streetcars every, 4 or 5 years? They rip them up, basically. That's what they do all year long on different parts of the city.
Okay.
I've never seen them put any kind of sound absorbing material. It's always directly from the concrete right to the cleats, I guess, that are holding the rails, and then it's all concrete filled in. And it would, because I've been in buildings that are on like storefronts.
Adjacent to, yeah.
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 And when the streetcar goes by, and especially if it's a joint, you feel the building, dum, 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 like you feel it.
Yeah.
It's 20 feet, 30 feet away from you, but you're feeling it.
So what are people doing? This is when the environmental impact comes into play. Those same acousticians that do inside the building, they'll often have a division for just environmental impacts. So they'll test everything to make sure it meets. There are criteria as well, environmentally. So typically if you're within 50 meters from rail, you might be fine, but they'll test that to see how that rail that shows trains or trams or streetcars impact the quality within the space.
Oh, I remember this conversation about the facade of a building material contributing to sound absorption, where it was a factor where somebody would remember. I remember this thing that it all of a sudden they started assessing.
That's right. The tour you're on, there was a developer there. Correct.
Yeah. So they were being dictated by the sound people.
Yep.
That you have to reconsider this material that you're going to use for cladding to be a more sound absorbing material.
Curtain wall or windows or mullions. There was something in there, right? Doors and windows are just terrible in general acoustically.
Yeah.
They're not terrible. They're problematic, right? In that sense, hard to attenuate glass. There's different ways around it, and different as these manufacturers of glazings are getting better and better. But there was, I remember that. That's right. It's amazing how rail dictates what's going in and around. Well, it's a fun one.
It's a hard metal that's anchored right to the earth, that's connected to the next building, that's anchored to the earth.
And so it's structural and airborne. Yeah. It's both the you hear it, and you feel it.
Yeah.
And then the toots are always fun too, right?
Ryan, how much is sound psychological? Do we amplify it in our thought process?
Once you hear it, it's hard to unhear.
Okay, that's
so
what
we'll
I'm
do. I can no problem name dropping. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, you can drop as many.
Okay, F45s are a good prime example, right? Oftentimes we're called in for these wonderful franchisee owners just invested a lot of money to open F45 franchise. I don't work out clearly. You do. Good for you. It's a best. I walk into these gyms and these people have invested a lot of money.
Okay.
And they're given this box from Australia. It's no secret, right? With the floors, like a 3/4 inch stud rug. It's a regular flat stock mat. Speakers, paint, game lines, equipment. Go. Like out of a box, go gym. And they choose a spot that's awesome, right? High traffic, good neighbors, up and coming areas. And then they start having classes at 5:30 in the morning. And then...
Yep.
So we get the best. I was an example on Queen Street East. We get called to this F45, and we go and it looks great gym. Dentist next door, I think, and a hairdresser or some. The agencies were okay this way, but it was an older community living above. I think it was a 5 or 6 story concrete product. And they're on ground floor. We're ground floor. It's fine. No one below us. Won't matter. Okay, so I go to 2 owners upstairs, and the people are complaining. They're picketing outside their F45 now, so they're losing business. Right, it's creating a bit of a hubbub in the area. We go 25-pound kettlebell, Manny, knee height, 4 stories up.
You can hear it to the ground?
You feel it and hear it.
You feel it and hear it from 4 stories?
4 stories. So the shared slab or the
From
pour.
the knee drop?
From a knee drop, 25 kilogram.
Really?
I think it may be kg. Knee drop height. That's not even that high. It's about 2 feet. Wow. And you just feel and hear. And as they're dropping it, the homeowners are all home, right? We got permission with the go with F45. You just see them grip the chair. They're white knuckled because at 5:30 in the morning, it's just enough to get you out of sleep. And once you hear it, hard to unhear. And then you look for it, right? It's like a cricket in the room or a mosquito.
Yeah.
You know it's going to come again. Just waiting for that. So it does. It messes them up, man. They're like, you can tell they're stressed. And they're waiting for the next morning workout to wake them up and to just piss them off. During the day, you have ambient noise, right? You're working, moving, dishwashers on, traffic going on. But those morning or late classes or in a condo gym, we do a lot of projects here in Toronto with the thicker gym that fits 70 tiles to help with that weight drop. But it's amazing how many conversations we have. It's R2, it's fine. Ground floor. Doesn't matter. Those columns, they shoot up 4 or 5 stories, right?
Concrete.
Structure. Once it's in structure, it's like water. You may have a leak here, but that water's coming 4 stories away or up in the attic, and you hit a seat in your basement, right? Sound and vibration, the energy that needs to be released is like water. It might start here, but it's got to dissipate somewhere.
When do we get to the black box?
You want to go black box now?
You're talking about a lot of stuff.
I am.
And Pete, no. The thing is, you're talking about really good stuff. The thing is that this is like the easiest way to understand what we're talking about.
I changed my career after 15 years for that black box.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
it was real. Okay, let's do it right now.
Black box makes a lot of sense, right?
Want to do it?
So I want to open this up. You've got a little...
It's a music box from my kids' little boot box. So Manny's going to wind this thing up. This is airborne, STC. Not sure what their vitals are on that.
You're getting it. It's getting it.
But it's not that loud. It's airborne.
It's airborne. It's
We're
not
good.
that loud, right?
Once you introduce that same source into structure, which is in your table.
A table.
Is it louder on the vitals? Okay. Now pick it up again. Significantly different. So once our sound, the energy gets into structure, all bets are off. Every wall, every floor, every ceiling becomes an amplifier. Right? And so SDC is great, but if you're not tackling the structure born, that's when we're trying to really get code change and modify.
So here's another way to do it because you can't really see this, but I'm going to that's right on the glass table, right? But I'm just going to raise it a half inch. Back there.
Significant. Or put it on some rubber if you don't mind there as well. So now it's a glass. Once you isolate off structure it's back to airborne.
Rubber.
Yeah.
So it's like...
We're going from structure back to airborne. And there's code for airborne, right? SAC 50's code. Let's keep it there, but we have to address the structure piece. So that's a great one. That makes sense that when I change, as a dumb layman, homeowner, 15 years in a different industry, that made sense to me. And every homeowner, developer, builder, architect can relate to exactly what you just did.
So let's put it back in the box.
Yeah. That is the black box of fun. It's a fun one. You can keep that if you'd like to show people.
Can I keep
100%.
I thought you had more of these?
I can get you more.
This was just like a one-off.
No, you got that. You're keeping that.
Share it with other people.
This is
here.
amazing.
Like, listen, let me show you my black
Every
box.
construction person should see that if they're building, whether it's a home or a.
Okay, so that's where I get to.
Okay.
I see guys renovating.
Yeah.
And they just, I don't know, slap layer and layer of drywall onto studying. You're still connecting things together. You can make it thicker and thicker and thicker, but you're still connecting it.
Even these fiber boards of the world, right? There's no data. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of that retail wow factor. And the data is lacking. We did a project in Port Picton we're working on, and the acquisition came out. He's like, in theory, it kind of makes sense, but the data's just not there yet. And won't be there, or potentially won't be there. I can't say that, but it's interesting going, if it passes a lot of sniff tests, or a product's designed for a certain application, great. Use it for that application. But once you try and take a product that's designed for one thing and start blanketing it as a multi-use, you just can't do that. Does that make any sense?
It makes 100% sense.
But
then guys will argue resilient channel.
RC, yeah. RC's okay.
It helps.
Yeah.
But you guys have a different version of the clips.
Yeah, it's RC on steroids. If resilient channels, and we're not a dogging company, which is kind of cool. You'll notice that with Pliteq, we'll never say this product sucks, it's terrible. Yeah. Everything has a purpose. We're confident that Pliteq, the data on the products we have made locally here in Toronto, will perform better at a better price point. And we can talk about price as well, right? We're not worrying about duty, exchange rates, freight, getting stuck on a freighter, falling off a boat into the ocean. It's kind of nice when you support local, right?
Are we talking a lot of money here, Ryan? Like I don't understand how, even if your mat stuff, I know you didn't bring any samples of the mat, but you got different thicknesses that are from, is it 6 mil?
Yeah, we could talk about that when we get to that product in particular. Yeah, it's from 2 millimeter to 15 millimeter front underlayments.
All kinds of different mats that you guys make, and they can be small tiles, it could be large ones. We'll get into that whole bang, but it's not like a lot of money.
No, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's a rounding error.
Yeah.
And we've had a conversation with developers like, hey, R2, I get what you're saying, but everything is a rounding error until it adds up. So I get that flip side of it, right?
Makes sense, yeah.
But to your point, we're talking, if they're selling a condo, a let's go 600 square foot condo, $2,000 a foot. I'm going high just for easy numbers, 1.2 million bucks. Okay. 600 square feet.
What are we talking here?
Let's just go super high. Like $2 a foot. We're talking, what is that? $1,200 on a $1.2 million. It is literally a rounding error.
It's nothing.
The one tile in the elevator will cost more than that. So it's a tricky, it should be an easy conversation. And there are some developers that we're working with right now, stay tuned, where we're looking to combine both the sustainability factor in terms of these 18 buildings that have Pliteq products on them have diverted. I'll pull the numbers up. I want to say it's 350 tons of rubber with one developer that we're working with for sustainability, their director of sustainability. And we got to market it. We don't do it enough. We're a bunch of engineers, again, engineering, manufacturing, right, to make in and around every building in the world, okay, to make it quieter. We don't talk enough about is the environmental carbon footprint,
Can we not
carbon
get
recapture.
points from the government for doing this? That doesn't exist.
A lead is a thing.
I wouldn't say lead. Lead is a...
it's kind of the greenwashing world, which you and I have lived through in the past, right?
Yeah.
It's a thing for LEED Platinum. Again, locally sourced. It's funny. We had a factory tour today with a box player, and he brought it up. He goes, "Wow, so your puzzle tiles you make, right? When you cut the edges off, not only are you post-consumer, but you're post-industrial." Because post-consumer mean, right? Like, where we take tires, we buy ground tires and recycle them and make products. That's post-consumer. It's been used and then discarded. But then when we make our products and cut the edges off, we regrind that as well. Wow. I'm like, look today, I've been here 65 years.
You're not leaving an environmental footprint at that point.
Zero landfill initiative. right?
So
And
once
end
you
of
guys get
life.
the tires
And heaven
out-
forbid this
Yeah.
kind of they renovate, they change from tile to carpet, whatever that is. Bring your your genie mat back, pardon me, and we'll throw it in the grinder, reuse it.
Now,
Anyways.
obviously, there's lots of competition out there, but rubber ain't rubber.
Yeah.
Like rubber, there's something in the sauce, right? Like you guys are.
Yeah, cork, felt, foams of the world, right?
Yeah,
We have like
exactly.
other, dare I say, cheap and cheerful options. One of our biggest competitors, I'm okay, they're a felt company. And, the Pro Cell barbecues, I'll name drop Pro Cell as a good partner of ours.
Yeah.
They have 12 felts for an unalignment.
What do you mean? 12 different types of felts?
12 on there. Yeah, I always have the samples, right? You have 12 felts going. You have 12 felts for why? Well, yeah, it depends if it's tile, laminate, vinyl, or wood. I'm like, that's only 4 toppings.
So what's the other 8 for?
Well, yeah, but if it's this size tile, or if it's this type of LVT versus LVP versus SPC versus linoleums.
Holy cow.
So if you're a flooring contractor going, oh man, so I walk into a condo, I got tile in the entrance and bathroom, then I got
Buy a roll here, roll there, roll
then
there.
I have some laminate here and some vinyl here. I might have 4 or 5 different finishes in my condo, in each condo, and the amenity spaces and party rooms. What am I putting where? It gets confusing, one, for the installers. They're more money, side note as well, which is interesting. So you're paying more. It's lighter. Outside the weight, man, if we can make rubber lighter, forget about it.
not
Game
that
over.
heavy, man.
But again, will you foam or felt or cork? Sure, it's light, but will it work as well? We have a lot of data saying it won't. But interesting. So we like the G-Man RST, which we'll get into. I think we open up with that. It's like Frank's hot sauce. What's Frank's hot sauce again? You put that
Shit on it, yeah.
shit on everything.
Yeah.
G-Man RST is you put that shit under everything, regardless of the floor finish type. Laminate, wood, LVP, LVT, tile. What am I missing?
Because
SPC.
it's still going to do the exact same thing. It doesn't matter what
We
the
don't
finish
care
is.
what the finish is, with the exception of maybe some of the oleums out there. Maybe little. We still work, but let's talk about
What's
it.
the thickness with that one?
2 millimeter to 15 millimeter. You choose an adventure. We'll help you get there.
And what's the
acoustically.
lovely word that starts with U that it's also considered? It's an uncoupling membrane. Is that correct?
Oh, good. See that?
Is it? I'm trying to remember my class when I went
No,
there.
that was good. So not only be acoustically driven, we will be a crack isolation.
Crack
and uncouple.
isolation.
Yes. So it's a fun one. We're not a marketing company. We talked about it.
No, I know.
We go by data, and yet it's funny how with some data we'll share with you. Same crack isolation, Robinson wheel test. Again, we love standards. Don't make the stuff up. Right? We go to TT Mac,
Yep.
pay a bunch of money, have them do their tests.
Testing, third party,
Heavy
impartial.
commercial
Yes.
rating is the same as another uncoupling membrane from the U.S.
Isn't that funny?
And we don't talk about it because they're the machine.
That
a
other
marketing
one,
machine.
but that other one doesn't have the sound properties.
Exactly.
that
So it's
Pliteq
comfort underfoot, uncoupling, or crack ISO plus acoustic. So it's like a trifecta of awesomeness.
Kind of makes sense, and it goes back to why it's taking so long to get you on the show to talk about this stuff, because I can't stand having conversations with contractors that
I've always used it, never had a
Yes,
problem. Great.
exactly.
Best conversation. What did you use before your iPhone? A BlackBerry. What did you have before BlackBerry? My home phone tethered to my wall.
phone.
Why did you change?
audio box with a battery pack.
Right? I've always done it one way. Baloney. You've changed 12 times to get to your iPhone 36.
It's time to change on
Why aren't you changing from your foam, felt, cork, plastics to rubber? And it's their head goes, change. You know what?
But you're just one guy handling the East.
Yeah, we have a good
You
team.
can only meet so many tradespeople to talk to them, to explain to them that this is what's important when it comes to this achievement.
I'm going to say, dare I say revolutionary, but it's the awareness piece. People in the U.S. where it's codes driven, or Australia, UK, we have a good business overseas as well, right? Mexico City. But we still have people come here going, what's a Pliteq? What's a Pliteq? What's a... Pliteq is a real thing,
don't
right?
worry, man. For years and years, and it still goes on, it was hardcore Renos.
No.
Oh, yeah. Whenever you spoke to Americans, it was always hardcore.
Oh, the Renos.
Reno,
Reno
Nevada.
911.
I know. That's why. Hardcore Renos.
It's a fun one. So it's the awareness piece. In the U.S., because we have more adoption, because they have to use these products. Here we're still, yeah, you're the Genie Mat fit guy. You're my fit guy. You're my clip guy. You see this infographic. We play in a lot of
How many
segments.
products you got? You got lots of products
Yeah, we
for
got
lots of applications.
We do. Always coming out with
That
more.
makes sense. It's not just a mat.
No, that's what I'm saying. We get typecast,
When
right?
you went to this company, you started working for them, my first thought was the Genie clips. That's what I was fascinated by. I got the mats. I understood the mats. I saw that there was better quality mat than what I was used to seeing on the market, right? But it was the Genie clip. And that's the first lesson I learned when I built the sound theaters. It was the separation.
Yeah. Floor, ceiling, wall. A room within a room.
Yeah.
Get that everything isolated.
So you guys can talk all you want about putting bats of material inside wall cavities and then putting layers of double layer this or triple layer this,
With
or putting
the glues and
other
the
material that
fibers
has metal in between each other and glue it and all this other, and putting this green glue in this green box and this green other stuff, like all that stuff. It doesn't make any sense. You're still connecting it heart to heart to heart, and it's just all you're doing is you're connecting a highway. Aren't you? Like you're building a construction.
It's
highway.
flanking. We call them flanking pathways. That's why the lab tests are the perfect scenario. And now you have ASTC, AIIC, so a parent. So field tests, call it, right?
Yeah.
And code's actually 47 for a parent, meaning in real life, you got windows, you got doors, you got electrical boxes, right? So they kind of realize, it won't test as well because you have real life things,
Of course.
but still to a standard. So we always say, we'll show you ours if you show me yours. Show me the test report. And we live and die by test reports. And it's amazing how many companies.
As far as I know, you guys are the only ones that are so quick to show the tests.
We love it because then we're comparing apples to apples. Comparing apples to kumquats makes no sense. And we always get held to a standard.
But also you guys are educating us on how to read this data.
Oh, third octave bands and curves and it's force pulse, density, durometer. It's a lot of stuff in there, and you can get brainwashed or kind of like the red herring.
Yeah.
So compare, look, it has this rating. That rating just means it's made of a material. It's not actually a data point that you could hang your hat on. So it's interesting. Again, as the test report holds everyone to the same NRC, Intertek, or a couple that are kind of readily very well known, Intertek and NRC.
Isn't it interesting though, Ryan, that I guess when you talk about sound and you sell sound, you guys don't do this because I know about the data and I know about speaking with you and we talk the data and the numbers and everything like that. But all the other companies, they just show you a display in a controlled environment. And they sell you on how the sound disappears right before your eyes. But
in a ghetto blaster in a box.
Yeah, but there's no data here. And also it's a controlled environment. It's not a real dwelling. It's not the top floor, bottom floor. It's not a kettlebell. It's not any of that crap. It's a controlled. And so
it's a ghetto blaster in a cooler with a bunch of stuff in it that is not real.
And then you as a contractor, you're like, the sound's almost completely gone. That means it works.
So these numbers, to your point, IIC 70, as an example, FIC 70, these numbers, sure, you can get it, but you have a 12-inch slab with a 4-foot drop ceiling, as an example. So you may be somewhere in the world, you might get it. Or an assembly, I have an IIC 82. There's no genie mat in it. It's carpet with carpet pad. But technically, you want a piece of paper? Here's a piece of paper with IIC 82. Don't look at what don't look what the assembly is. And that's the conversation I'm having. I don't care what it is, R2. Yeah. Just give me a number.
I know.
I just can't sleep all that night knowing that I use carpet pad. You're doing laminate on concrete, no ceiling. We're not talking right, but a lot of people do this bait and switch, man. It's so crappy. It's a bad rap. Anyways, all right.
But shouldn't all these new, especially the condos, all these this should just be mandatory, whether it's your product or some other product. But a product that's actually achieving these standards. And I know that you told me when we're doing the tour there and everything, that when you're talking about from 50 to 60, it's not just like this small.
I want to go there right away here.
Yeah. I had like when you.
This is right here. This is the slide right here.
This is with decibel levels.
So there's two ways. There's this frequency coming up and decibels. Oop. Can I include your help here for?
Of course. Yeah. What's
You're
up?
in now. Ready for this one?
She's cutting. Yeah. Okay.
This is good here. Is that good here? All right. We're gonna have you guess. All right. So this conversation is right around 50 to 60 dBs. All right. It's the best game ever. The funnest game ever.
Okay.
If we're on go to the 401, an unmuffled car drives by, not knowing what decibels are even for acoustical metrics. What do you think? If we're talking right now between 50 and 60 dBs, yeah. I need a number from you. Don't be shy. Spit it out.
I think I saw 80. So
Darn it, you got that one already. Darn it. Okay, 80 dB.
An unmuffled car is 80.
80 dBs. We hear, right?
So average conversation, you and me talking right now on the show is 60 dB.
Between 50 to 60, yeah.
Average office is 50 dB.
Yep.
Broadcast studio is 20 dB. I guess because there's a lot of sound. Okay. Rustling leaves, we're into the fall, it's only 10 dB.
10 dB.
It's really quiet. It's very soothing.
And a broadcast studio would be more like
it's almost
the ambient noise.
therapeutic, right? So, so a rock concert, we're over 100.
So we're talking from Montreal. I don't want Celine Dion. I want the Metallica at the ACC. Give me that number.
high
Go
notes
ahead.
are going to be over 100.
180, you're thinking? Okay.
180.
For a rock concert? Well, you think about that. A lot of sound pressure coming at your ears, right? It hurts.
I'm going to say 100.
Okay. And what do you think of jet air? You're on Pearson.
Jet takeoff?
You're on the Pearson. You're on the tarmac, and these Boeing 777. What are you
300.
thinking? I guess 4,000.
Okay. What
That's
are we?
what I guess.
What are we?
You're 110.
110 dBs for a rock concert?
Here's where it gets really fun.
120 for a jet takeoff.
Only 10 dBs more. Only 10 decibels more.
And only twice what average conversation is.
It's funny, isn't it? So when you get to
Think about it. So everyone's got to visualize this. Now remember being near a jet and listening to that.
It's only 10 decibels louder than a rock concert. So how does that make sense, right? It sounds way louder, doesn't it? You have to cover your ears. That's why all the tarmac folks wear the earmuffs, the ear protection. So when we're raised as kids in school, it's a very linear calculation, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 makes sense. The world of acoustics, it's a logarithmic scale you see on there, right? So it's not the normal way to count. So every 10 decibels is twice as loud or twice as quiet. So if code is 50 and we said luxury 60-ish, right? It's only 10 dBs. How much harder can it be? To get the code minimum is pretty easy. It's okay. I'm okay with saying that. Is code minimum great? No, you'll see what it gets you. It doesn't get you great, but it gets you good enough.
Yeah.
It's only 10 decibels more. How hard? You need a lot more treatments to get from basic to luxury.
You got to treat it like 100 then.
So every 10 dB is twice as loud or twice as quiet, depending how you look at it, which way you're looking, right? So I use the example of a basketball player. Dunking on a 10-foot net, everyone's doing it. Put that net to 13 feet. It's only 3 feet. How much harder could it really be? Just go raise it. It's a lot harder to get to 10 dBs. Only 10 dBs. So it's funny how that works. The key takeaway there, logarithmic versus linear, and then the measure. So you see 120 dBs is the pain threshold, where you're like covering your ears like the tarmac that we're in the earmuffs, right?
Painful.
Yeah. So that's kind of world of decibels, and then the frequency size.
This is the world that we're talking about, but nobody else talks about this stuff. They just show you a sound and it disappears. A sound and it disappears.
In a cooler with some fiber
in
in
a
it.
controlled environment box, which is not really the way you're supposed to be doing this. So technically speaking, if you build a unit or a home or something like that, and you're doing this isolation, which is like the genie clip,
Uncoupling, decoupling,
all that, you're going to achieve this no problem.
Yeah. Yes. I say yes with an asterisk. Full disclosure. Yes, you'll achieve something.
Yeah.
Question is, the cool thing with Pliteq and being local, we'll pivot. We'll hone exactly what you're looking for. In terms of, we have flooring contractor. I need a 10 millimeter. Why? Because I need a sound fake number again. I need an IC55. Okay. What's the assembly? Oh, well, it's actually 2 layers of drywall with a hung ceiling. Okay. So you know what? The RSTO5 might get you there. So we're not a sales, we're not a commission-based company. We're an engineering manufacturer. So whether we sell 10 or 5, sure, revenue-wise, we'll make money with a 10. It's not what we do. We'll hone you to what the requirements are. And that's different than a sales organization, right? We live and die by spec and by project. We're not you want to buy some acoustical soundproofing? If ever you hear someone saying soundproofing, run away. Attenuate, mitigate, sound. Soundproofing is such a vanilla statement. If you have a source, something, you're going to have a receiver, right? And it's so frustrating. We hear soundproofing. You'll never hear anyone at Pliteq, from president down to the factory workers, who are amazing people.
I'm just trying to paint a scenario here, Ryan. I'm just trying to figure out different rooms of a home. They contribute to different sound and sound levels. Like sometimes it drives me crazy that you hear the refrigerator kicking in.
Yeah.
But if you
the
were
furnace kicking in, the HRV.
So if you were to do something on those areas, those walls or something like that, it would mitigate. Like it would kind of reduce that sound transmission happening, right?
Correct. So here's speech intelligibility, and anyways, I'm going to kill myself here with the engineering speak, but a church versus a school, as a good example, right? Church, you want it to bounce and echo. Yes. School scenario, kids need something that's not bouncy, right? So even within that space, you have different within the room. Pliteq's really good at the adjacencies outside that space. So the F45, for example, you might drop on a great assembly. We ended up with a massive assembly because it was just a really hard old building, right? Everything was connected. So it worked. No legal, which is good. Like tip-top condo as well. They were going to litigation. We got called in and we fixed it. One condo owner was complaining, using the condo board's money to kind of sue the condo. Wow. Yeah, I'm not sure we show that or not, but it was a long time ago. But it's interesting, right? There's no names on that, but it's interesting how once you hear it, you won't hear it. But in that space, it might sound louder with attenuation in the space, but that's okay. Yeah. You're worrying about the sensitive adjacencies around you. So again, if you're dropping it sounds about the same here. It's okay if it does. We don't want to mess around too much here. It's your neighbors that are getting pissed off. we want to make sure they're okay. So a lot of what we do is attenuating around that space.
So off the top of your head, I'm just curious. You got a kid jumping off their bed on the second floor. You're
Yeah.
underneath in a family room. And you've got hardwood on the upstairs.
I see that. Bang. Right? The whole thing.
You hear it. Underneath, you hear it.
Yep.
But if you were to put some sort of mat down and then put the hardwood down,
It'll help.
it will help, right?
That, or do you need clip below in the ceiling below as well?
So if you were to, exactly, that's where I'm going. So now you
Yeah.
put a genie clip on the ceiling, and you've got a mat on the floor.
Genie mat RST,
and now
yeah.
that kid jumps on the same height from the bed, lands, you won't hear it as much, right?
Agreed.
But you guys will actually have the data to kind of calculate what
Substantiate that.
What's that going to drop from? So we can actually, if we had this money and the client was interested in ripping up the floor and then redoing the ceiling, you can already test the sound on both, either in the room
We
or
love
underneath.
those mock-ups, right?
Test that whole mock-up stuff, and then rip out the floor, rip out the ceiling, put the mat down, put the floor back down again, and then put the drywall back on with the clips on, and then test it again. You're going to see a difference.
In
We're gonna
Peterborough,
hear a
in
difference.
Peterborough, we did that. As a
Really?
partner, it was a 5-story mid-rise, a single-family home builder getting into the world of mid-rise a bit.
Okay.
And he had 3 mock-ups. Current, option A, option B. Option B was a Genie Pliteq
He did
options.
that to show clients before they actually bought
No,
it?
he did it for himself to know. Because he's in, hey, Ryan, I've known you a lot in my past life. I've known you a long time. I love this stuff you used to do. I trust you. Trust but verify. Right? You're telling me all this stuff. It's not magic, it's engineering. Okay, let's put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
He paid to have 3 mock-ups done. Good, better, best. And the data showed that before and after, right? We love those because it just makes sense. And you need to show people going, it's not, don't take our word for it. It wasn't like the old reading Rainbow or something, or was one of those, the more you know, G.I. Joe or something.
Yeah.
Right? So data doesn't lie. And that's the cool thing about what Pliteq invests heavily in, over 700 tested assemblies. And you mentioned structure, right? So we're talking about high-rise is concrete. And you have stick frame. Homes are wood. Wood reacts different than concrete, right? High frequency versus low frequency. Yep. So you can't attenuate both types of structures the same way.
Yep.
So for me to come in, or the competitors, it doesn't matter, competitor, a manufacturer X, this is what you need for anything you build. No, because wood moves. You walk, it flexes. So a mat versus a clip, Genie clip for argument's sake, I'd rather you spend your dollar on a Genie clip in wood versus GMAT RST. Concrete, don't buy Genie clip, use GMAT RST because they're treated different. And mass timber, can I name drop these ones?
Of course.
T3 Bayside, T3 Sterling, the George Brown, which is now Limberlost, all those 3, and OSSTF. The 4 major mass timber projects here in Toronto all have GMAT FF on there. Mass timber looks beautiful. Guess what it's terrible at?
Sound.
It's acoustically, they want to show ceilings and show floors, show columns. Concrete and wood, look at here you have, right? You have acoustical ceiling panels.
Ceiling panels here. You got
right?
space above it.
100%, and maybe hung on something, right? So mass timber is beautiful, but in those 4 buildings, there's 4 different products. All GMAT FF, different thicknesses in different areas. So it's not a one-stop shop even for a same type of build. And that's what's amazing about the Pliteq data. And we work with the acousticians and say, what do you need? What are the requirements? Let's not overcharge these developers like PCL and Hines and Ellis Dons of the world, right? Let's save them money. On time and on budget's their mandate, right? How do we get them local? On time's awesome. Our factory from here is 25 minutes. I came there from here.
Yep.
From to here from there. And so availability is there, and everything, and the price point makes sense because it's ground tires and some binders, right? So it's nice to go to these developers and say, we're not here to make a bunch of money on you. We want to build better at the best price possible for you.
But this is a challenge for us as contractors to have a conversation with clients because all they talk to us is about soundproofing. As you mentioned earlier,
Yep.
it's not a correct
mitigate, yeah.
defined term.
You will never not hear something. How's that?
Exactly.
Hate to say it.
So you can never listen. What is it? The first generation iPhone was not soundproof or waterproofing.
Yeah.
It was water resistant, right? And there's still waterproofing now, but the thing is, it's a certain depth or what have you. But there's still problems associated. So it's like, sure, you can do but they're selling it. So now you try to have this conversation with a client and explain this data and the science, and we go back to class and all of a sudden we understand this, and you won't know it until you've actually experienced it and put it together. I didn't understand it. So you guys start from the drawing stage. You see what the volume space of a room is.
We're 4 years out.
Yeah.
We're 4 years of design, like early design, to your point.
Then you're getting
thinking
into,
about this.
because you have to be a part of the structural components.
Recessed slab potential during
Yes.
construction, right?
Yes.
height requirements for pot lights versus drop ceilings.
If you're already adding finishing material, you're already too late. And if you haven't had a conversation about sound, not with you guys, just you guys, but anybody that does legitimately sound, right? You're already too late.
Or you're tearing something out. So it's funny. Yes. So in Montreal, Toronto, we do a lot of good work. I will give props to Ontario. OBC is awesome for gyms. We'll use amenity spaces for a second, right? Okay. You will not find a developer who's not.
I don't hear that all that often. OBC is awesome.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go. This is maybe one of those moments, right? Because or through Tarion, I should say, right? Because it's part of sound's part of Tarion.
Okay.
Rental, no, but condo ownership, yes. But in Montreal, we do. I swear, but we can't. What they do, call in French, we do virtually acoustically. All their gyms, we never get calls to quote for gyms, and yet every single condo here, pick a developer here, will have an acoustical tile in their gym or treatments in their gym. And so I'm going to our architects in Quebec and partners in flooring and drywall. What are they doing? And they're saying nothing. They're putting an 8mm rubber on a 17-story gym. From what we're seeing, and this is, prove me wrong, please. If I'm wrong, I'll gladly apologize.
Okay, I don't know.
But even that, so people build differently. And it's frustrating because, again, to your point, if it's too late, we'll find out, because in a couple of years, even some renovations here, we get the call 2-3 years now that people living in a space, that 8mm rubber did nothing for weight drop isolation. Then we get called in, costing the developer or the GC or the condo board double the cost to rip out and then reinstall. So to your point earlier, the better. Let's just find out what the requirements are now, and then we hone in exactly what makes sense for you. It's not a one-stop fit. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
It's just a difficult conversation to have clients, for them to approve it, to understand it, to grasp it. And it's really easy for them to get online and Google the word soundproofing and be bombarded with a bunch of stuff that doesn't make sense, right?
Because you mentioned single-family homes, right?
Yes.
Full disclosure, we don't do a lot there. It's a home, all right? So you're not worrying about pissing off a neighbor. But these new builds, though, with the in-law suites, right?
Yes.
As the code changed, so you can actually build more like multi-dwelling or something or other. Great. Then yes, Genie clip and wood frame all day. Throw Genie RST in there. Awesome.
Yeah.
Attenuate that wall for you.
Reduce the sound.
Fact.
Yes.
So that's the new world for single-family homes. Home gyms is where we typically do a lot for that residential home. Garage floors, basement floors, just some awesome, low VOC or no VOC or like a nominal. It's not registered. It's a weird VOC is a different conversation. We can't say no, but it's not traceable. California Clean Air Act and floor score. So we pass all those. But anyone who says 0 VOC, let's see the data. It might be 0.00 something. But we do a lot of home gyms, especially during COVID. And you know what? The fear factor now, I won't say media driven, but between COVID, RSV, and the flu, people are going to start getting afraid again and going to gyms. So these home gyms, we do a lot of home gyms in that space for garages and basements.
But then there's also certain people selling mats that are not,
they're horse mats, they're bovine, equine, they're thick and vulcanized.
They're designed for exterior application, not for interior application. There's a reason why you smell it a certain...
Vulcanized, you're melting and reshaping.
That's the term. Yeah, vulcanized.
It's not designed for inside. I let it sit outside for a month. That should tell you something, that you couldn't put your home gym mat in your gym for a month. And it's still trying to figure out. It's still doing something. So Genie Mat Fit 08 is the kind of or Tread 08, 8mm cheap and cheerful rubber. And it's funny, I mentioned our partner locally. It's surprising. When you buy an import from China or the US with freight and just exchange rates.
You guys are actually...
We're smiling. We gobble up that business like no one's business, because we're local and it just makes sense. We have a lot of people picking up. Go ahead.
Where are we going from there? Well, no, this is high frequency.
This is frequency. So the two kind of metrics are going to be decibel, sound pressure level, and then frequency, right? So you see this a lot with that.
Of course.
So that may have hurt someone's ears there online.
That's fine.
But you have high frequency, low frequency. Again, concrete versus wood. They do different things. They need to be attenuated differently. Biggest example here, I'm very non-engineering, non-technical by design. A piano, your ping ping versus the pong pong, a bass drum versus a hi-hat, right? Or a cymbal. And this matters in the world of mechanical isolation in particular, where you have these heavy machines, RPM spinning fast, making a lot of noise. The natural frequency comes into play for attenuation. Or a YMCA, a basketball court above a living space, or a basketball court above a school, a classroom. Right, so YMCs are kind of everywhere. These basketball, these fancy gyms, and you might need to get to a natural. We'll talk about natural frequency coming up. Could be 12 hertz, could be 5 hertz. And what does that mean? It's kind of hard to explain, but you wax something with a hammer. Everything has a natural. This glass, this table. So everything has a natural frequency, and then we kind of hone in what you want from there, what we're trying to figure out to protect. So it gets a little deeper here with third octave bands and the testing we do, that Pliteq does. I hate the we and I, it's Pliteq, right? And I appreciate you having us. Construction Life and bringing in Pliteq is a big deal.
I gotta get you to
it's a big deal.
Show, man.
Construction Life, hashtag awesome Manny.
I wanted to ask you about, hang on. So
no, go ahead.
Okay, so this is transmission. This is the walls. And okay,
well, this is how you do it, right? SEC sound what you hear, and this is bang.
Sounds, yeah.
Kind of the black box. The black box is normally here, right? But we kind of went a little premature, but that's okay. Footfall versus airborne. How to rate it? The key takeaway. I'm gonna fly through some of these slides because we're getting kind of long here. I feel bad. How much time do we have here? We're probably running over.
We have plenty of time. Don't worry.
Okay, well, we'll cut this out accordingly. Rating assembly is massive. What infuriates me and you for the reno actors we're seeing out there?
It's a good word.
It just came to me because I think they're actors, a lot of them, right? I've worked with them in the past. You throw them a lot of money, they'll pitch anybody. Sorry, I'm getting in trouble. Sorry, I shouldn't say that.
No, you're not getting in trouble. It's good.
That's
work,
okay. I know some of them. I've met some of them, but
disagree with you at all.
They are loyal to. They'll rep. You pay people, but
they are loyal to the almighty dollar.
Sometimes the products are good. I'm okay with that. They have some good products out there. We'll leave it as that. Not all, but good. So in this case here, one of the biggest misnomers is anything. Some GenieMat RST. Here's my 2mm rubber, Manny. I can get you an IC 70. It's a big number right now for condos. Really? What's the floor type? What do you mean? Is it hardwood or carpet? Oh, I don't know.
Concrete.
Is there a ceiling? I don't know. Is there a drop ceiling? Is it drywall or drop like these panels? I don't know.
In it? Terminations, connections, units.
Insulation? How many layers of drywall? This is where it gets funny, right? How do you give a number without knowing the full assembly? Example.
Easy.
When you make up numbers, it's easy. Remember IAC 82 I mentioned?
Yeah.
With carpet and carpet pad, sure. But we're not doing that in Toronto. We're going exposed ceiling oftentimes with a hard topping, either a vinyl or a wood or a laminate. So how do you say this 2mm foam or felt will get to that rating without knowing what the assembly is? So I call it Pinocchio's law, you'll see. But please, 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 whoever's listening, which is a lot of people, ask for the assembly. Because you'll be given a product. No one product can promise a number without knowing the rest of the assembly.
I should have prefaced this whole show by saying there's lots of products out there that say they're good, but if they're not assembled correctly.
Even that's one step beyond that.
Yeah.
But without even knowing the assembly, I don't know if my GenieMat RSTO2 will work without knowing everything about it. Remember earlier, I need 10mm. You might not. Customer, let me save you some money and some height.
Yeah.
Maybe 5. GenieMat RSTO 5 was good enough for you, right?
Show you how you want to install that 10mm.
So it's no individual product can get you a rating without knowing everything else.
What's the room that's being built? Where's it at? Is it high rise? Is it residential? Is it commercial space or what have you?
Concrete, what type of concrete? You're right.
Questions you got to ask before you actually start figuring
6-inch, 8-inch, right? Core slabs, ice span, Hambro, blah. So we get in trouble, Manny. Why are you asking so many questions, R2? Just give me a product. Because we care. And it sucks. People will literally say, I'm bored. I just need a number.
Plus, you guys probably want to find out if there's a scenario that you haven't come across yet. So you can re-engineer something new for that situation. Because I'm sure that there's probably new ideas, new scenarios.
What's funny, my colleague and I, he's no longer with Pliteq, we came up with a new product. Pliteq never had it. Flood protection. You know Ramboard? Home Depot has it.
Yeah.
Boxes.
Yeah.
50 cents a foot for their fancier Ramboard. GenieMat FP01. Floor protection. We're on site by the elevators going, man, it's always ripped and torn and wet in the winter. It looks like dog poop. They got to keep replacing it with the masking tape. 1.5-ish millimeters of rubber. We're talking 30 cents a foot. Less than Ramboard. And you can reuse it.
Hammer on it and it won't.
It'll bounce back. It'll help protect your floor.
Okay.
Non-slip for ladders because it's rubber, it's tires.
Yeah.
You could reuse like a painter's tarp, fold it in itself and reuse it again versus throwing again all this paper into landfill and garbage. When you're done with it, give it back if it's all dusty and torn up. We'll regrind it for you. So we'll even take it back. We don't talk about floor protection because it's not acoustical. We're an acoustical manufacturer, don't forget, right?
I know, but every
so
new
floor protection,
floor protection.
Every single one. So you have your cheap and cheerful corrugated.
So you don't want to store it. You just send it back to you guys. Yeah. You guys get it there and you regrind it and use it again.
back into something else.
Not
So
good for the environment.
it's a real sustainability. It's a real thing. It's not just a tagline. Hashtag green.
What's the next slide?
Next slide's going to
What was
be,
the Pinocchio one? What was the
well, this is the
Pinocchio?
fun one. So how you test, I won't
The
go
wall,
too deep
right?
on this.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have, again, a source and receiver we talked about. It's called
Yes.
pink noise.
Yes, I remember
Google
that.
pink noise. It's a speaker that it'll be like Poltergeist on. Remember Poltergeist, that loud, you know? So they have a source in one room, a receiver on the other. They do I took out the graph on here because it gets pretty complicated. It's very wheezy, not complicated if you know what you're looking at. Okay. Most people, including myself, don't know what we're looking at when we see third octave bands with the curves and whatnot. So a source and a receiver, the math is done, the engineers work their magic, and it comes out with a single unit measurement. So in this case, STC 40 or STC 60, whatever the number is, but it's a calculation between the source and the receiver, and the transmission loss between those two rooms. Super high level there. And again, depending the flanking pathways and what they're doing will come a different number. But again, transmission loss between what that is, the source was, and what the receiver picks up, that transmission loss will kick out, will spit out that STC number for you.
So I want everybody to notice on this slide, see the way it's a double wall assembly? And then,
That's gonna get
see all that little detail there? And then also you guys get into later on, I don't know if we'll get to it, but if we'll see it, but there's also different ways that you guys have recommended to assemble walls, whether thicknesses and because there are ways of doing it, because the first problem that you'll come across is the homeowner saying, why does the wall have to get thick? We're technically building two walls on one wall. But there are ways that you guys have figured out how to your assembly. You figured out
We're going from a double stud wall to a single stud wall.
Yes.
Eliminating those studs.
Yes.
Eliminating the extra layer of insulation
That's a
and giving
reality
you
in construction.
not a possibility. It's a reality
done,
to your
it's
point.
done, yeah.
So we're going from 9.5 inches to 7-ish. So it's 2 inches of space, of livable space, sellable, rentable space.
And you're still getting the sound.
And you're saving the labor and a ton of material. Oh man, it sounds too easy. So back to the 50, right? Code will get you that. 50 is loud, audible
Code
music.
is not,
Code's code.
Yeah.
Code gets you out of jail,
yeah.
right? How do you get better? So now we're seeing the acoustics here in Ontario. I think I know in the US as well. Recommended 55. You want to build normal, go 50. You want to get better, they're starting to recommend 55 because people are still complaining at 50.
So it's only
5 dBs.
Yeah.
But you know what? Don't forget, 10 is twice as loud. So you're getting there. And you see at STC 55, it's straining to hear it, right? Normal music is heard versus like clearly, right? So it does get better the further you go up that level, up that column. But again, every one of those moves costs money.
Loud speech, essentially inaudible music can be heard mainly, but past.
And that's just going to be going from an RC Brazilian channel to a Genie clip might get you there, right?
Okay, cool. All right.
Good. All right, we'll fly through IIC, similar thing. No individual mat or anything can get your rating. Ask for the assembly. This is a cool video. I don't have it here. The tapping machine, right? It goes
impact, exactly.
all different
That's
frequencies.
huge because everybody doesn't put carpet anymore down. It's not the 70s in Pornland.
Correct.
Right? So it's just all hard surfaces, right?
No dirty carpet. Wow, you went there. Correct. Hard on hard is bad.
Yes.
Don't look at field tests because again,
heels and then hard shoes, loafers, like they're all
chairs moving to your point.
Chairs.
Kid playing with dropping their toys.
Yeah.
Bang,
Dropping
bang,
your
bang,
iPhone
right?
on the floor, boom, you hear all that stuff.
So similar thing here, right? Anyways, this guy was tested, a top machine, source, receiver, similar concept.
So you got a little machine there that just basically taps all the time?
Yeah, acousticians bring it in. It looks like a little briefcase, and they drop it down like a humidor, and it goes
Like a little centipede or something like that?
It just stays in one spot. But even that's by design. So many meters within the space. Because field test, you could juice field test. A lot of guys will juice field test. They'll test on tile with wet thin set. So now you have wet, so you have hard tile, hard concrete with mud. It's going to test a heck of a lot better than...
It's absorbing the sound.
Yes, you have a wet thing in there, right? You want to juice? Cheating, thank you.
Cheating.
You want to cheat, you bring the tap machine near a wall.
Okay.
So there's ways to cheat field tests.
I remember when you did that test as well, too, where you got closer. As you got even from the hard surface of the floor, and you got closer to the wall surface, the sound actually was louder because of the connection from the wall to the floor.
There's different ways that impact that.
Totally ways, yeah. But most times, I guess when you're testing it, put it smack in the middle of the room.
There's ASTM standards there, I say, that the acousticians have to follow. They cannot make stuff up.
So it's all about airborne structure.
Structure versus air, right? A guy in the middle, he's reading his paper. A lot of the issues he's facing isn't STC, it's IIC, right? The cello, the vibration flanking through, the washing machine rattling the floor, the garbage chute. The kid's playing upstairs.
Why is the contractor in the basement there? What's going on?
He's hanging a picture, but it's the bang bang, right? So a lot of the noise he's hearing is actually structure-borne sound. So this is the part that's missing right now here in Ontario, here in Canada in general, and here in Ontario.
I like the garbage chute. That's really cool.
That's a good one, right? So Genie Clip will isolate these garbage chutes or laundry chutes nowadays. Laundry chutes I don't think you do, but all the way down. That bag is banging. Good. Talking about this ASTC's changed. Yeah. It used to be, SEC 50, and they realized, you know what? Real life, there's a lot of other ways for those flanking pathways to impact that rating. So a parent is going to be a lab.
I like the flanking thing because it makes sense.
Doors, windows, electrical boxes, right? Yeah. It's a real thing. So let's skip that. It's all right. We can go through this. It's 3 ways, right? Either before, after, or during what it comes after, right?
But I think you're going to do the most amount of talking before.
That's the goal.
You're going to get the most amount of benefit if you do it that way.
Always.
You'll spend so much more money if you do it after. You got to redo everything.
Do it right the first time. Measure twice, cut once. Exactly. Right? These are the old adages that we've always lived.
And okay, I'll admit that Genie Mat Fit. How thick is it again?
That's 70 millimeters of love. I call it big sex. They get in trouble. My president hates when I say that. Sorry, Paul.
Heavy, man. But it's that you can drop what on?
Dual concentric pedestal design for weight drop isolation. So it's not SEC anymore. It's force pulse. So when you drop that weight, bang. You see a cool graph in the catalogs. Somebody want to share that or not? If it's like 8 millimeter rubber or a thud rug for F45, it's a quick bang. So it's a high peak, meaning the structure's got like the drop, the forced impact is instantaneous in that slab. It's like right into slab, into structure, and then a very short tail. So the impact is felt immediately into structure. With the accelerometers, all the acquisitions have all their bells and whistles. Wow. Genie Mat Fit 70 is an example. You drop that weight, it's a much lower bump, and then a long tail. So eventually it will get the structure, but it's not all that weight at one time. It'll hit it and it'll dissipate a lot over a longer period.
What was the testing done? Like with what size weight or what size?
Oh, we have all that data. We have a bunch of different weights.
You guys tested a bunch of them.
Oh, yeah. Out. Yeah. Okay. And then we do field tests as well.
My favorite, what I started learning from you guys was the Genie Clip, right? But then
so we can fly through some of these. I know we're already running late.
Yeah, no, we're not late. We got half hour still, man. We're good.
Okay, we'll fly through some of these products, not too.
Here you go, the heels. Here's the pumps, man. So
this, actually, under any floor finish is the key, right? Foam, felt, cork. You can't put it under. You can't put cork under tile. You can't put felt under. Can't put foam under tile.
Nope.
You're limited. You got to be aware. We're saying Genie Mat RST under everything. You see the crack isolations there, and see we love tests. And then potentially eliminate the waterproofing membrane as well. We have a peel and stick available, right, with a vapor barrier on one side.
I love learning new tricks, new ideas from products that...
New things scare people. Not me. But we're not new. This is reality. Globally, we're well known, but in certain spaces, in certain segments, right?
Products don't scare me, man.
And they shouldn't, because they're not new. They're just new to some
products
people.
That have the data that makes a lot of sense, and people that are actually communicating with me that tell me what I'm answering my questions. Yeah. I just want you to answer my question. Don't give me a brochure. Don't give me the pitch. Answer my question.
And just because it's new to you doesn't mean it's new to anybody else.
I think I've asked you like every question. You're always giving me an answer, or if you don't have the answer at that very moment, you find the answer and get it to me. And
by smarter people.
Exactly.
There's some people. I surround myself with way smarter people than I am, Manny.
Vinyl
this is my favorite slide ever.
Look
Hashtag this slide.
Look at this Genie Mat right there. RST05.
Yep. So this thing code is 50, right in the US. We'll say, right?
God, eh?
So just by adding in a 5 and not see all of rubber. So someone says, "Oh, I can do 5 millimeter rubber." No. We tested our 5 millimeter rubber, we'll call it, right? Different types of rubber. Remember the crumbs you saw? Everything has a recipe, right? We buy ground tires and hone it down and sort them by density and particle size and whatnot. So we tested, I think it was like 7 or 8 different 5 millimeter rubbers that we made, that Pliteq Genie Mat products.
Okay.
Every one of them tested differently based on type of binder, amount of binder, type of crumb, density of crumb. So when someone says, "Oh, I can do a 5 millimeter for you," great. The tonnage, remember the tonnage press you saw? We blew out our ceiling because of it. Yeah. The tonnage press is massive. So Genie Mat RST05 is not just our 5 millimeter piece of rubber. The density of it is designed to get you these ratings. So just by going no code in the US, the IC 31, that's a go to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200 in Florida, as an example, right?
Can I share how the roll is made, or no? That's proprietary.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Let's try. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to get in trouble.
Do you want me to share first and see what I can share? Or you want to go? Go.
You share. No, you share it then.
Well, it's just...
I was surprised in finding out how the roll was made.
So it's rubber crumb and buffing. Just rubber, we'll call it. Super high level. Buy crumb, sort it, clean it, and then mix it with a binder. into a giant hopper, into a cylinder, and it's compressed. Exothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction. No heat. It's compression and the binding agent with the rubber. So it heats up in the cylinder for a couple days and spits out these giant cylinders you saw of rubber. It's a solid mass of rubber, about 8,500 pounds of rubber.
Yeah.
And then we peel it on a vertical bandsaw, different thicknesses. But with that, you'll see the GMAT FF. So super soft, squishy, to super dense GMAT RST, to even softer ground-borne vibration for rail. But everything, not everything, 90% of our products come in rolled goods that we peel into flat stock, with the exception of our tiles. You saw the GMAT Fit 70, Fit 30.
Those are formed, right?
Correct. And our ground-borne vibration are molded.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's rubber, binding, and compression. You may have gone a little deeper, but let's still go high level there.
That's exactly what I would
call me. Call me for a factory tour. How's that?
Yeah.
We love we'll share architect,
out,
any
sure.
contractor with the camera. Come see us, please. We love tours. We love tours. All right.
Don't take any video or pictures.
We'll smash your phone. But it's a cool one, right? So just RSTO5 GMAT RSTO5 gets you from not code to code minimum at a couple bucks.
Get that, eh?
Cool. Next. Good. Here's a Pinocchio slide. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So this is one of our competitors. I think it's a foam product. Look at that. IAC 73. All these fancy words in there, right? UL, Green Guard, breathable moisture barrier. Nowhere in here does it say what the assembly is.
No other flooring underlayment can deliver a 3 mil thick laminate pad with ratings of IIC 73.
So now they're saying we're the only ones who could do this.
Yes.
It's physically, so in the realm of physics, we bring this to the acousticians and go, is this true? In the realm of physics, it is impossible.
Do the acousticians, do they wear like white lab coats or what?
They don't, but I wish they would. They're just regular dudes and gals.
Does it say butcher
guys and gals
or something like that?
So anyways, always ask for the ASTM test data.
Butcher. Okay, yeah, and that's what I mean is that you get, you know what? It's interesting. You get
Talk is cheap.
You get misdirection.
So example being, based on what they're saying, right? 3 millimeter can get you to an IC 73. We're saying, hey, look, the way we build here,
for you to get to 73.
And we're not even there. We're IC 69, right? With 3 inches of super squishy, soft GMAT FF layers, we still can't get there. And you're saying your 3 millimeter can get there? What did you say the word BS? It's baloney. Yes. It's malarkey.
They got it from the spaceship, and they're using it from the spaceship.
It is, but you know what? People just want a number, and we just need to we need to hold people accountable is what we need to do.
Okay. So we know that's BS.
That's
okay,
BS.
Cool.
Okay, that's our GMAT RST.
So yeah, we haven't even talked about the mats and gone into details and all this, but you guys have all kinds of mats that come in different sizes. Yep. You have the puzzle mats. You got all kinds.
We get on concrete, GMAT RST under any floor finish, and then we don't talk about here a lot, which is mid-rise. So that wood frame, stick frame, well, they're 1.25 inch of topping.
Yeah.
Gyp concrete
sort,
or lightweight concrete.
Yeah.
We have GMAT FF, so it's part of the acoustical floating floors. Again, 3, 6, 10, 12 millimeter under gypsum concrete. So it helps, again, comfort underfoot, but more importantly, acoustical. So it helps with the mass on top. So gypsum concrete is used or lightweight concrete to increase your mass and help level the floor a little bit. Yeah. But again, you have hard on hard concrete on hard wood. Acoustically is bad news bears. Throw a 3 millimeter piece of GMAT FF and P under there with a baked-in vapor barrier. So you literally kick out the rolls, tuck tape the seams, and pour. And your STC and IIC significantly improve. I shouldn't say that. It's IIC driven. My apologies. SEC is more in the insulation on drywall. The clip is more But in terms of the impact, the IIC is where that GMAT really kicks in.
And even if you're not putting, I guess, the pour on top of it, and you're just
just a finished floor on wood.
Just as a 100%. Floor, you can tape it or glue it on. You can use a flooring glue underneath. If
whatever you do on top. Thank you, Manny.
Yeah, you were saying. What is it?
Yeah, whatever you do on top, do below. So if it's a loose lay laminate or a LVP, LVT click floor, you loose lay GMAT RST underneath it. IIC, not for STC. I'll back up 2 slides here. If you notice here, the STC didn't change.
Yes, it stayed the same.
Because your voice sound mats do nothing. That's why these sound mats that go STC, sound mats do nothing for voice.
It should be STC BC. Or BS.
BS, because sound mats do nothing for voice. A mat, if I hold a piece of film, cork, or rubber, this does nothing.
Doesn't do anything.
It's all about the impact, all right? So I apologize on that.
No, so that's fine. That's what I remember you telling me about that.
And
Whatever
so there you
do
go.
On top, you do it below. That's how it is.
So if it's tile,
you want
thin
to glue
set.
it? Glue it on both sides, basically. And that's all it is.
Tile, thin set, top and bottom.
Float, that's it. It's perfect, right? And then, the genie clips are pretty straightforward.
So go GMAT FF, I think 3 or 4 slides. Mechanical rooms typically. So in our world, maybe for some of the guys watching the show, if not in the mechanical, electrical, plumbing world, they might not see this too much. But if you do isolate mechanical rooms, isolated housekeeping pads with heavy machines, conventional way is spring jackup and then puck and plywood.
Yeah, I know.
So spring jackup's amazing. We'll never talk bad. You want natural frequency, YMCA, a natural frequency of 3? We can't get there. No one can, except spring jackup. It's a 30-day process, wicked expensive, $50 a foot. When you need it, you need it.
That's for the penthouse?
That's more of a gym on living space, a basketball court on someone living below or a school. You need it.
But it's serious.
Oh, yeah. We're gladly saying we can't get there. But 99% of the floating floors that we deal with here in Toronto, or globally, or mechanical rooms, is right. Puck and plywood's been around a long time. We'll never doubt the performance. It works. But you have shop drawings where the isolators go. You have insulation. You have plywood, connector plates, and then poly. So you have 4 products. You can't do this in the rain because wood gets wet. It's bad news. Insulation gets bad news. So we're saying take that antiquated old school way and use GMAT FF. It's a dimpled rolled rubber. You kick out the roll, tuck tape the seams, make sure the perimeter is isolated as well with the foam gasket, GMAT PMI.
You get the same results?
And
Or better?
I'm going to say same. I'm okay saying same,
okay, yeah.
but better in terms of a way quicker installation
Faster.
and way less money. It nets out significant savings. And GCs, developers, trades can self-perform. The other 2 usually have specialty installers because you have to follow shop drawings. Again, put that shit under everything. 99% of the time, you'll be good just kicking these rolls out.
Tape seams, that's it.
We have a great video as well, a brand new video on YouTube. But I'll share the links. Yeah, share with your people.
On there. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's about speed of execution and price points. That's it. So GMAT FF is very self-explanatory. Genie Clip, wood frame mainly. Genie Clip LB is more for the concrete, right? So I mentioned the mechanical rooms or some below amenity space. We want to hang a ceiling. So you pin shoot the Genie Clip LB into concrete and you hang wires or your grid off it.
Yeah.
But Genie Clip RST is great for your walls. We do a lot of long-term care homes.
How much is a clip?
It's weird to say costing, but you know what? Going from resilient channel to a Genie Clip, it costs you maybe $1.50 extra a square foot.
It's nothing, man.
It's in the grand scheme of it again. We're talking not every wall needs
I
it.
interrupted you. So you're doing lawn care homes?
Yeah, a lot of long-term, like where the hallways, right? So the good thing with Genie Clip is you don't need both sides of the wall or both, it's one side. So in the corridor wall where you have a lot of the gurneys and people walking and banging around, use that side, and the inside you're hanging cupboards and drawers and whatnot and pictures. So keep a livable space. You're normal on stud or on resilient channel. Give us those corridor walls. I got you a lot of good pictures too to share. So typically it's wood frame is where we do exceptionally well with Genie Clip. That's I want to apply. That's Paul's first patent was Genie Clip. Floor and ceiling. Is that what looks installed, right? So resilient channel. You mentioned RC.
Yeah, look at that.
If it's done perfectly, it'll work okay. But how many production drywallers? But if
I know.
You know what? It's about speed of execution, right? They're piecework oftentimes. And we have a great white paper called Every Screw Matters. Every short circuit significantly decreases the performance of those resilient channels.
Yeah, because I remember you telling me that some guys will just miss and that screw will get the back part of it and all of a sudden you
overdrive it.
You've
short circuited.
Guess what? You've reconnected the structure.
The uncoupling is gonzo.
Yeah. So
and even one screw matters.
Every screw matters.
You can get pregnant quick. So that's the Genie Clip. Floors and walls. Here's an example of an overdriven, right? The second picture in the middle, right?
Yeah, look at that. You're just reconnecting it. Yeah. You don't want to reconnect it.
We make it dummy proof. Genie Clip, Pliteq makes Genie Clip dummy proof.
You're calling it short circuiting.
Yeah.
That's what you call it. Because technically, I guess, yeah. Okay.
You go from uncoupled, decoupled to fully.
You also have a low profile Genie Clip version too.
Yeah, there's a lot of Genie Clip L products, LB2, LB3, where you could actually attach on the side of the wood joist. And so as opposed to using shims, you can get up to 3/8. So you go from, you have some different heights or to worry about, but to your point, Manny, yeah, we can get pretty tight. So your head space is all of a sudden tight.
103 inches. Who cares? It's not 104. Who cares if it's not?
Yeah, you say that, but it's, we have the option. How's that? If you can't give the inch and 3/4,
that little bit of space for the reduction of sound transmission.
But with Genie Clip LB3, you don't have to. That's the joys.
That's what I mean. You guys have both options.
We didn't talk about that here. Here's a quick example of.
Oh yeah, direct attach. Here you go.
People who are still just using drywall to structure. You're never getting to code.
1 to 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 2. You'll still not hit it.
No.
5/8. That's type X.
Oh, this is proper. This is, again, code stuff.
No short circuit. I'm glad that you're saying no short circuit.
And that's RC Deluxe.
So basically, you guys don't miss any screw or tie any screw. No,
You can get some cheap RC, some Resilient channel.
And look at Genie Clip RSC. You got 1 to 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 2, and look at the.
So 1 to 1, you're 2 to 1, you're going luxury. So this is kind of a quick eye chart, right, to show just the value of Genie Clip and how it works to save you guys. We have a lot of developers in the U.S. I'm happy to share offline. Develop massive national home builders in the U.S. that thought they didn't need Genie Clip. You know, someone new comes in. I'm new to procurement. I'm going to save developer X. I'll share those names with you. Money by cutting out this Genie Clip. RC is way cheaper. We have good examples of them coming back going, "Ooh, we didn't meet code. We didn't get the STC. Can we?" Yeah. Everyone wants to be a hero. Always. Oh, you have to. Tarion here in Ontario, guess what? You have to test. We'll pay for test afterwards too. Some of these foams and corks we talked about, it might test well initially, but under live load, that foam felt gets smushed. Very technical term, smushed. Rubber is resilient. Will always maintain the bounce back, right? Most of the video, if it gets smushed and then it kind of bounces back, it's not in this presentation.
Take your foam earplugs at any job site and squish them, and what happens?
That's interesting.
Why don't you guys design some rubber?
Once it's under load, it'll stay smushed, right? So it's called creep, Manny. After 6 months, we'll actually pay the acousticians to come back and do some testing to say, hey, it tested well early days. Let's see how it is after 6 months, only 6 months of live load, and see how much decrease there is in performance. Because now it's been smushed. Now you're backed, your foam-backed products from overseas, that 4 millimeter, 2 millimeter is now smushed to nothing. So now the laminate or vinyl is virtually touching the structure. Because it's not resilient.
But does it matter at that time? Because if you're testing it when it's new and you're delivering structure, you're delivering the unit now to the people. They test it at that time. They don't test it a year from now.
They don't always.
That becomes the
condo board,
of the homeowner, I guess.
Potentially,
now.
yeah.
Condo board or what have you. And now they're like, well, we swear things are louder now. We swear that we can hear more sounds now. So what's going on? We didn't do anything. Yeah. We didn't renovate. Nobody above us, beside us, next to us, whatever, renovated. Oops.
We thought it was a good idea until it's not. So rentals are tricky, right? A couple developers here in Toronto, I'll use Victoria as an example. They're good. They're rentals, not condos often. So they care about this.
So they pay attention to do it.
Yeah, you have your condo builders and then your apartment builders, or a hybrid of both. Yeah. If you're a condo, to your point, you don't mind going code minimum, because after a year, condo board, the TSCT, those guys, the condo board owns it. Yeah. If you're renting, your occupancy matters. You got to make sure people aren't leaving because of noise or complaining because of noise. So those are even low income. Low income is built better than regular condos.
Is the noise transmission the number one complaint of most high rises?
So in the U.S., it's more code. Outside mold and mildew, it is the number one litigated issue for high-rise construction. Litigated in the U.S.
Sound transmission.
I see mainly that.
Really?
Yeah.
Canada? We don't know yet.
We're not there yet.
Well, STC is easy. We don't have code.
It's recommended. That's why. Because STC, everyone meets STC. I'm using the word everyone as a general term.
Guess the moment you make it code and you're not hitting it,
then people care. They have to care. In the U.S., they care. State of Florida, it's all tile on concrete, right? All of the beaches.
Loud.
So GMAT RST12 under tile is massive. Here's your double stud wall, by the way. You're saving.
Oh, I love this, man.
You're saving 2 inches.
Yes.
Same STC, luxury STC, and you've actually improved your UL ratings.
Look at that. Single wall.
And those studs should be staggered, layer, by the way.
Yeah. Look at that. And you save the 2 inches.
Yep, 2 inches, no stud, no insulation.
You save 2 3/8. 7 1/8 to 9 1/2, right?
Yeah.
Think about that.
That's livable, rentable, sellable space.
And you're still getting the SCC of 60 on both
luxury
assemblies there.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be done. And so for all you idiots out there on social media pushing ways that are not correct.
You sent me the video of one that was bananas.
I know.
Yep. Data. You're not the first. Anyone watching, you're not the first to do this. Don't think you're being revolutionary. You're a late follower on this one. You're not, I'm a visionary. No, you're not. This has been done everywhere. Just not here in Toronto, because we don't build this way here in Ontario.
So you're only putting the clips every 4 feet.
Yeah, it's a 2x4-ish, depending on the pattern and weight. But yes, on average, it's a 24 by 48 pattern. Great video online.
Different if you go on every stud?
It's more for weight. If you go on like 3 layers of drywall or 4 for whatever reason, but we test everything on 2 layers of 5/8, right? Standard.
Wow.
Yeah. So the regular installation guide, we follow 2x4-ish pattern. Great video online as well of Will Byron.
Anybody who's listening, Go and watch the video.
Yeah. It's a 90 seconds that will blow your mind.
So you can see that. I don't
It's
know
not
what
harder
time-
than Brazilian channel. People say it's faster than Brazilian channel, believe it or not. You snap your chalk line, you screw in the studs, you snap in your hat channel, and you install. So it's surprising. It's not that much more. But you're moving their cheese, Manny. Who moving? You read that book?
I know, but the thing is, see, this is why I get upset with you guys, because unless you speak to somebody like yourself, or you go in for a plant tour, or you get wind of it from like on a podcast or something like that, you will not know, and you will only know what you did as a Google search when you actually typed in soundproof.
And whoever paid the most for those SEOs,
that's the information that's coming up right off the bat.
agreed.
I don't even know if you guys are on the second page or third page. I don't even know, right? Google's not God, but you know, a lot of people are looking at it like that's the end and be all, but it's not. You have to start talking to the engineers.
I always ask people, how'd you find us? We info at Pliteq. I get a lot of questions. Homeowners or sound, like Link Sound Studios and whatnot. We do a lot of work with them. And it's like, how'd you find us? So how did you Google online?
Really?
But that means they're actually looking.
So they're doing the proper research.
Yeah. So last but not least here, we'll kind of, I feel bad. We have a couple more slides here and then we're almost done. GDMAT Fit 08, great for your yoga rooms, your home gyms, commercial gyms.
Colors,
yeah, your blues, your yellows.
Custom and stuff, but it gets a little expensive when you start doing some painting.
We have 8 new colors now, 8 standard colors.
Really?
It was 3 when I saw you last time. We're up to 8. So
I like the black. Whatever. No,
I go black with speckle because it's high. The gray speckle, the silver gray.
The silver gray looked pretty good.
Our express color, I didn't update this slide, unfortunately, but I'll send you up something with the 8 colors from tangerine to lemon to a 2-tone gray blue.
Like a constellation or something like that. Can you make a little like?
We have a galaxy one. It's called.
Galaxy
We have galaxy. It's a little more custom,
Does
but
it
yeah,
look
we
like
can.
a galaxy?
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Really?
Yeah, big fleck, and I'll call it flecks or
Still like the
speckle,
black
but
one. I don't
all
know, I
right.
still like the black one.
So the GMAT Fit 7, you know, then you have your GMAT Fit 08 is your commercial gym, the commercial proper gyms like your Planet Fitnesses and whatnot. And then you go into your Fit 30, GMAT Fit 30. It's more for lightweight. We don't use a lot of that here. It's either like basic or proper isolation. So GMAT Fit 30 has a space, but here in Toronto, GMAT Fit 70 is where it's at for every developer for those high impact machines and those free weights on a 17-story gym and a 40-story tower. You're going to piss off a lot of people if you go with GDMAT Fit 08.
GDMAT Fit 08 is for yoga, group fitness, spin studios, locker room,
and home gyms, garages and basements.
Gyms and garages. You can put a vehicle on it.
Oh yeah, it's tires on tires. Beautiful. Point loads in a car is none. It's amazing.
Rubber, exactly. So
way less money than epoxy.
No, it won't, right?
Car, come on. No, it's a flat, spongy tire. It's
what
the
does
best.
snow do it? Weather, like you're gonna have a little bit, or you stop it before the garage door.
It's tires, so it's kind of funny. So water, we're gonna need. If you want to glue it down for water underneath it, it's because I'm old, right? I'm okay saying that. We're inorganic. Pliteq is tires and binder, so there's nothing to grow. Like we're not like a cork or a something that's gonna propagate mold. We're inert.
You can't.
So it's but underneath it, if it's warm, damp, moist underneath, between the concrete, if water gets trapped there, if we glue it down, great. But no, oil will wipe it off. Like just treat it normally, like a normal floor. It's good. I got some good pictures of nice garages with it being done. GMAT Fit 70, it's again a resilient tile. It's locally reactive, meaning even if you have one tile. So we did an F45 and on the Danforth. Okay. He goes, I don't have the height to do the full gym, but the main issue is when I grab my weights and drop them for these clean and jerk over your shoulder bag throws. Just butchered that pretty good. So he bought 12 tiles.
Just for that area?
So he stocks them in a corner.
Okay.
And when that workout is being done, whenever F45 pumps in that daily routine, all right, everybody, grab your tiles. And he puts them as the weight, just under the weight, under the dumbbell. Barbell?
Yeah,
barbell.
Both. Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it drops on that. Then.
Where the plates hit, it isolates from there. Yeah, so it's a cool thing, right? We hone it. Full gym ideally, because have weights will travel.
Yeah.
But if you can't because of the height, because your ductwork and whatever that building is you're moving into, no problem. Again, we're not a sales organization, man. We want to help people out, build better, live quieter.
Could you, I know I've seen all these floors and stuff like that, and there's the ramp and everything like that. It's all cool.
I'll just keep moving on here.
Could you wrap ductwork?
No, we're not there.
Not there yet, eh? Have you guys tested that?
No, we can't. Rubbers, it's different. It's different again. Rubber's not good for sound. It's more impact, right? Again, we talked about.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it won't do much. And there's other options that are better. How's that?
So if you were to build your bulkheads and use genie clips.
Done. Next, that's what we got to do. Yes.
And that's what you got to do.
100%.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah, wrapping rubber won't do much. Okay. It'll help. So in my own house, an example, I have a sump pump that runs from the main, like built in the center of the house, which is ridiculous, and the drains other side of the house. And it's all those wire, what do you call it? Those the wire hangers. So my ABS pipe or PVC rather is hard screwed in.
Yes.
So my plastic pipe on a metal hanger screwed to my floor joists.
Rattle.
Oh my gosh. Before I worked at Pliteq, I finished my basement, dummy.
And you hear it.
I overdrove every resilient channel. I didn't know what I was doing because I'm a dummy. I hear everything upstairs. But what I did is as that pipe's going up the wall, I uncoupled as much as possible with Genie and RST going from structure. So now I have a kind of a washer system. We have an FIS as well, like a flanking isolation system with our washers. So I isolated that pipe off of structure.
And you heard the difference.
It helped. Oh, big time. My wife was much happier. Yeah. So GMAT Fit, I'm just kind of skipping some pictures here, right? The combination of both.
The gyms, and then there's all kinds of
different here's the different throw. We did a kind of an extra level of assemblies, right? Again, they wanted to build more of a commercial. You can land a plane on these gyms. Don't quote me on that because you can't land a plane, but it's a much better. Like these gyms are next level acoustically with our GMAT X Fit.
Is this at the top of the structure? Is this top of the condo?
This is top. Yeah, this is the top. Wow. It's a nice, but penthouses are below, right? So you have a super sensitive adjacency. You got to make sure we take care of that, right? Example here, right? If you don't want certain areas, no problem. You want to just show your rich mahogany floors and throw an area of isolation.
Oh, that's in Dubai.
That's the Burj Khalifa. All right, so it's kind of global.
So this
is a cool thing, right? So that's GDMAT Fit. Now we're going to go into some couple few slides.
Isolation.
Right, Streetcar did a project, a couple more here in Toronto where you have a pool. We didn't realize that natural frequency of the water sloshing is pretty loud. It's a thing,
man.
So let's same GMAT FF, drop that in there. This case here, they dropped a metal pool in it, I believe.
And then put the membrane.
No, it's us waterproofing, then the pool, then the metal. They dropped the pool in it.
Dropped it in there.
Yeah. Or you could actually pour pool in there as well with concrete.
Because you're separating it.
Now you've uncoupled from structure again, right? It's all about decouple, uncouple.
And you're just tuck taping the joints.
Just tuck the joints, easy. And you could pour concrete, or in this case, so if they're dropping it in, just make sure it didn't shift. But that's an option.
The inside corners, are you overlapping them, or has it?
Well, depends what you're doing. No, if they're pouring concrete, it's like a bathtub. So technically, you could pour that thing full of concrete, and you'd be fine with the duct tape.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Waiting on the last couple slides. You have 3 left. I apologize. So you have rail again, source versus receiver. We talked about that with voices.
So which is better? Which is the best?
If you could take care of source, awesome. Get it where trouble starts. So we're working with we'll just leave it with some trained people in Toronto, some extensions. We'll leave it as that. Okay, we're working with them, but they've always done.
Did you guys work with them?
Pardon me?
Did you work with them?
We're working with them. They've always done something with a product from Europe. Try, tested, and true, but it's very expensive and very coming from Europe on a boat. And so, but it's not made from rubber. It's made from something else. So we're working right now with a GenieMat.
Is there a reason why you're wearing a skirt? What's going on? Why are you?
No, because it's tricky. When you write a spec, what are you going to do? Shall not be made of rubber.
Okay, I got it.
Right? So they kind of have a monopoly on a spec. We're going, well, hold on. The data is this. This is what you need for transmission for rail, either as a floating slab track, ballast mat, or rail tie pad. This is the data for acoustical and or ballast degradation, prolonging the life of the ballast. Shouldn't matter what it's made of. But they wrote a spec years ago that trained people in Toronto have used. We're saying, we get that. You have an iPhone now. You used to have a BlackBerry. This is still good. But why can't we use rubber if we meet all the same specifications, made local, better price point, better lead times? So that's kind of undoing what's been done. I've been doing it for 20 years, something you hear every day. Doesn't mean it can't get better or differently, right?
I mean, there is something better.
So in this case here, floating slab track, ballast mats, and rail tie pad. If you look up the Tren Maya in Mexico, I want to say it's 7 kilometers of ballast mat, right? So
it's right, and you have the data now.
It's going.
That's test.
Amtrak we do. So we do, and I'm not hiding anything. It's on our website. If you look up some examples, right? So source is great. If not, then you spin it. This is 141 Bay, where you isolate the building. If you can't take care of the source, you got to take care of the receiver. And with the receiver in this case is 3 to 4 stories below grade. So you're putting GMAT, GBV, and then you're putting your drainage board and waterproofing. And then you're backfilling, whether it's a crash wall, caisson wall, foundation wall, the next best thing.
So all the expense now is on the building construction instead
The
of
developer pays not.
instead of the noise that's being produced by the actual train.
There's a project right now in the East End by Port Credit, and it's a battle right now because the major railway people are like, it's not my problem, it's your problem. Don't build close to my railway. The developer's like, well, here's my land. We need more urban densification. We need more people don't have enough place to live, affordability. So why don't you help us on this? We got to build close because you have tracks everywhere. So it's source and receiver. We have both options.
Am I crazy to say, why don't we just 50-50 this?
It sounds easy, doesn't it?
It just feels like it should be 50-50.
The developer, I'm like, why don't they just split it? And they're like, yeah, that's not how this works, unfortunately.
I mean, like, we're trying to meet these standards and please everybody. And here you go, timber framing, right? So you got structural.
Prime example, right? T3 Bayside, Sterling, Limberlost, everyone on, it seems, I hate the word everyone, it's too general. Limberlost is all over the media right now. George Brown College, they're doing tours. It's unbelievable, the notoriety and the reputation as a mass timber project. We don't talk about it because not that place like Fight Club, we're not big showboaters, right? Here's some cool projects. We should be just, look everybody, look what we're doing. We don't do that. We just, very humbly, we attenuate, we build better. And we hope that, the PCLs, Dons of the world, on the commercial side, right? I'm not picking favorites by any means. CMs and GCs, we hope they continue to do on other projects, but we're not big rooftop shouters.
Why is it in the media? I don't pay attention to media.
Limberlost, if I'd say Google it. It's the design, the way they've built it, how it's being utilized. There's a bunch of cool stories. It changed name as well. So it used to be just a George Brown College, but now it's Limberlost, which is apparently was a hiking trail that someone gave a bunch of money to, wanted to dedicate it. It's one of those feel good moments, feel good stories.
I'll
so
look it up.
yeah, please do.
About it, okay.
But as mass timber keeps growing,
As an
there's
option?
not a lot.
For sure.
3-ply, 5-ply, 7-ply mass timber. There's not a lot of data. We have a lot. I could say this confidently, we are global leaders for data on mass timber because there's a lot of different types of timber. And they all perform differently. So I'm very proud to say, for mass timber, NLT, nail laminated, dowel laminated, cross laminated, glue laminated.
Is all the testing done at the facility that's manufactured?
We typically test in-house first. No, it's third party, man. And NRC,
Really?
Intertech. There's another one. I always forget the name of. I apologize. Sorry.
Wow.
But yeah, no, we can't. Don't take our word for it because we're going to be biased, of course.
Oh, but I figure for you guys to confirm your data.
Oh, we do it first to make sure,
That's what I
100%.
mean.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you went to our lab, right? We test a
Yeah.
lot. Our ballast, the ballast. Remember that really heavy piece of iron or steel? Yeah. We'll do it in house first to make sure, and then once we're pretty confident,
Then you
no,
get the
very
third.
confident. Yeah, then we say here,
Get the third in here and they'll
trust
take care of
but
it.
verify. Don't take out. Let's make sure it has a stamp. Stampsies.
Not magic.
But every stamp costs tens of thousands of dollars. That's the reality. So you can make up numbers all day. To have proper data, it's not cheap.
Wow.
We invest heavily in the test data. So eliminating gypsum concrete. This is if any applicators, gyp applicators are watching.
Yeah, there's some guys that do it.
Yeah, so this is eliminating because right now there's a shortage in gypsum concrete.
Really?
Yes, in the U.S. Street.
How did we get to that point?
One of our good partners, name drop or not, doesn't matter, but out in Oakville. We're in Oakville now. There's a shortage. So we're saying, you know what? You could eliminate gypsum altogether and just go with Genie Clip and GMIT RST. Now, as a developer, you're eliminating the wet trade. You're not heating and hoarding in the winter. You're not waiting for your gypsum concrete to dry. You're not keeping trades off the floor.
And you're getting a better or the same?
I'd say comparable.
But you can't eliminate it if you're actually doing radiant.
That's different altogether. Radiant's going to be on top of the floor regardless.
Yeah.
If you're going radiant, that's going to be additional regardless.
Yeah.
And you have wire as well, right? You have your forest water and your wires, two
Yeah.
different types of floor heat.
Yeah.
The guys who are doing it now, the mid-rise builders,
a
no
different
one's putting in floor heat, right?
Got it.
I maybe
So
very
they're
few.
just doing it for the leveling purposes.
Leveling and then getting
when
your
you're
mass up, right? The
Yeah,
mass will
that's
help,
why.
but so the Genie Clip will help with the impact and the sound. Actually, both.
But you know what it is
SDNIC.
when they redo units, especially commercial developments, right?
See,
They
commercials.
don't want to grind it right back down to the concrete. They just want to float new material right over it, and that's the headache. But if there's a shortage of material right now,
we don't do it because commercial different rules of engagement for acoustics. But I don't disagree. Pardon me, I don't disagree at all.
I know what you mean.
But like like 6-story mid-rise and like
Yeah.
Milton.
Yeah.
And whatnot. Even Oakville is a bunch of projects, right? Where
They're
it's
just
wood
floating-
frame.
Yeah, they're just floating it.
And by pouring gyp, it's costly. And again, in the winter, you have to wait this thing. It has to dry for a few days. You can't. So trades can't do anything
Yep,
while
you
it's
shut it down.
drying.
I know.
In the winter, you're paying a ton of
I've
heating
been
and
there.
hoarding.
I've been there.
So this is an option. This is moving cheese. In the U.S., we got guys. I have no one doing this now because people love that 1.25" topping. And that's it. Then we're done, Manny. Rooftop to below grade. This is kind of the welcome
Dude, that
to
was
the world of Pliteq.
amazing, man. It was a lot faster than the time that we were at the PK.
I feel like we're here all day, but you made it very easy. You're right. It was pretty natural, eh?
I thought you would. We're not completely done. Hang on. I got questions to ask you at the very end of the show to wrap it up. But I want everybody to know they can always reach out to you and book a tour if they wanted to. Do a whole group.
Yes,
you get a lot of companies that work together. You got groups like small businesses or whatever that are working on other projects and learning shit. Bring the whole crew in.
Yeah.
Do a tour. Trust me, you will not be disappointed, and you're going to learn a lot of stuff.
We're local. We go from small normus to no. Yeah, once you see it, it really legitimizes. And developers who come to visit were like,
upset at you because you've taken so long to get on the show, man. Ryan Ralph, Pliteq, Pliteq, and it's www.pliteq.com, and it's r2@pliteq.com, and on Instagram it's Pliteq. And you ready for the 12 questions of construction?
Construction life. Let's do this.
I'm curious how you're going to answer these ones.
By the way, this has not been prepped. You did not send me anything ahead of time.
I did send it. You just didn't look at it.
Baloney.
What everyday sound brings you joy?
Oh, wow. We're going here. What everyday sound brings me joy? The sound of a smile on the other end of a phone call. You hear it. People smile, you hear the smile, right?
You brought me back now. What is your favorite beverage there, Ryan?
You hear that going, yeah, chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk.
No hesitation. No hesitation.
What is your least favorite tool?
Least favorite tool, the one I should have needed last night. It's a good one too. When you change the boot of a front load washer,
okay,
it's a specialized tool. The basin wrench is not one of my favorite either. You know, to tighten the bottom part of a new tap. It's a tool. I'll look it up for you. What it's called? It's it's like a reverse plier expansion tool. You push it, it opens up, and it extends springs.
Yeah, every plumber has one of those.
Oh man, appliance people, least favorite tool because you don't have it. It's a bear. So I hate that tool because it's way too specialized.
What turns you on creatively?
Wow. What turns me on creatively?
Creatively.
By repeating the question, it gives me some time to think about this.
What?
Just ask it again, right?
What turns you on creatively?
I realize that. I don't have a thing, Manny.
Anything in the world?
Some people have music or art or something. I realize I like a lot of different things, but I'm going to say what turns me on creatively will be, I'm trying to get more into music creatively. Right? So learning about the guitar I played earlier. I learned when my kids were born. About 1,000 songs, 4 chords.
How old are the kids now? 25?
10 and 12. You think I would know more, but yeah, go ahead. So I would say music creatively would.
What word or concept do you find overused these days? I'm sure you get a lot of phrases thrown at you.
Soundproofing. In our world, it's soundproofing.
I hate that word. It's not a word. I hate that word.
But outside, yeah, I'm going to stick with that because I used to say that. If you don't know, you don't know. And it's hard for me to judge, but now that you know, let's stricken that from anybody's vocabulary.
What's your favorite curse word? Could be French.
Straight up?
Could be French.
I'm going old school on just. Favorite one is fuck.
There we go.
F-A-C-K.
What's your favorite vehicle in the entire world?
Fuck. Oh, a 1983 Pontiac Grand Prix.
1983 Pontiac Grand Prix?
White, burgundy interior. Google that one, everybody.
I know what it looks like.
It's a muscle car. When I love it because a lot of cars out there, right? Convertibles, sure. Give me any convertible. Yeah, I love that. But me coming out of this muscle car is an oxymoron in a lot of different ways. It's like it doesn't make sense. That old school, just American-made style muscle car.
83?
Yeah, I had one. That's why it's very nostalgic.
And it's white with burgundy?
Yeah.
Still good conditions, or you taking care of it?
No, it leaked everything. I had to get rid of it because I couldn't. I used to pay my mechanic in beers, and it got to a point when I just couldn't afford fixing it anymore.
What do you miss from your childhood, Ryan?
Innocence.
What term or phrase resonates with your core?
One more time.
What term or phrase resonates with your core? Who you are?
Trust.
If you could master a skill outside of your own expertise, what would it be?
Wow. I'm not going to go golf, one of those cliche-y ones. Underwater welding is a fun one.
It's a fun one.
Right? Underwater welding, think about that.
Master underwater
Snowcraft fisherman, all the really hard ones.
Sure.
No, what do I want to master? Wow. Like if I can do anything.
I like the underwater welding.
That's a real one. Let's do that one because I'm terrified of water.
If you could speak to a historical figure, who would it be?
I like that. I like that question, right?
Who would you speak from the past? Who would you want to speak to?
Could be anybody.
Could be anybody.
Well, this is where it gets weird, right? I want to go right away to like, scientists and like not the Mother Teresa type, or like philanthropical folk. I wouldn't, man. I would go back to my great grandfather who emigrated from Europe, and just to understand what he came with nothing.
Nothing.
I didn't grow up with much, don't get me wrong, in Montreal, but he came from nothing. Any kind of immigrants who came to Canada as new Canadians.
Start all over.
How hard was it? Our generation will never know that.
Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at those pearly gates?
Oh, wow. Ask the question again, please.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at those pearly gates?
You did good.
You did good.
You did good.
Ryan, man, pleasure to see you, bro. I appreciate it.
Man, it's been almost 20 years. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
I had hair when we met.
Did you?
Oh, I had a lot of hair. I was thinning probably back here. Yeah, you haven't aged a bit. Maybe a little more gray in your beard.
Gray.
A little more gray in your beard.
Bit, man.
Thank you, Construction Life, for having us.
Look at that.
For having
Look
Pliteq.
at that. I can't
What a
believe how
difference.
loud is.
Can't hear you. It's amplified.
I know. STC? No.
Structure born. What's air? Both. It's once airborne meets structure, lights out. You need isolate both air and structure. Pliteq.
That's it. Everyone
Thank
check
you.
him out and reach out, email him, all that stuff. And you guys will get an education. Trust me, man. And you will look at sound differently. I guarantee you will.
And you'll hear it differently too. Thank you.
We're out of here,
Maddie.
Angelina.